and barren, or young seedlings, young brothers especially, young sisters who know something is disturbed, and they sense it in themselves, and you all are.
Father, we'll go first.
And you all would have to have been the ancestors coming back, so the ones who come back the soonest are the oldest. So essentially, you'll understand the metaphysics of that as we go along. And it's my duty, as it will be your duty, to operate the word. What the word is. You don't speak it, you don't try to write it, it just is. You just learn how to operate it. You just learn how to function in it. You know how to mold it for perception. And that's what your task is going to be. These little things, these little circles, these little capsules, these little cells that are gestating, these little cells that are in mitotic consciousness expression. At this point, this is who you are. And I'm just a catalyst. So I can't start talking my 23 or nearly 25 years of what I have learned. I need you all to form, with those words, the impeccable questions. Once you understand the science of forming the impeccable question, the universe answers all questions. You being the human dynamic of God recognizing itself, God in this particular realm, God in all perfection is ignorant of itself. Perfection equals death. You'll understand that as you grow older. Nothing stays perfect. If it stays perfect, it dies. Secret to the perfect thing, or the perfect aspect that we know as God, is that it is not a perfect principle, it's a perfecting principle. And it is constantly perfecting itself. Once you are perfect, you die. Because the environment no longer, or you yourself become an environment that no longer interfaces with imperfection. And you can no longer live within this realm. So once you understand the science and the mathematics behind the so-called Garden of Eden, you understand what perfection is versus perfecting, and you'll understand what this whole dynamic is about, and then you'll be able to speak with one another. But the impeccable question, since that which is, since chaos, since all that is in its perfection, there is an answer for all things. The Most High is the answer. But the secret behind the Most High is that it doesn't know itself, because it is the answer. Now, I know that sounds paradoxical, but because the Most High didn't know itself, it created us, or we became. God is man folded over on itself, or man is God folded over on itself. So now you have taken on the state of exquisite blissful ignorance, and in this state do you become a perfecting God, which is God itself. So the idea is that man is the proverbial question which asks itself of itself as God. So if you can form the perfect question, and with the help of the Most High, I hope to answer what it is you can find in yourself. Because I can come here and talk to you all for 6, 10 hours, and I've done it. 9 times out of 10, if you're not vibrating on frequency at this particular point, wherever I'm taking you, you'll start going to sleep. Start nodding out. I'll start burning out brain cells, just getting you to try to focus and cognize. And don't say nothing, it doesn't do nothing. Just put you to sleep. So what I want you to do is to dig inside of yourself and to tap into the threshold that you all have individually reached, so that we'll have a collective threshold by the time we leave. And we'll have raised it, taken it to another harmonic. And then all of a sudden your conversation changes. That's what I'm here to do, change your conversation. I'm here to serve.
Basically, we collectively have agreed to kind of break it down into two sections. First would be if you could verify about this pest called Y2K, or what things are to come, what should we expect, what areas should we look into, just verification basically.
Okay, Y2K. First of all, I was listening to the brother on the tape, and the brother who was on the tape, Talib. I mean, he was saying it right there. You have to understand that this is not our year. This is not the new millennium. This is all nonsense. We've already been in the new change. As of quote-unquote circa 1996, at least 12 black holes appeared in our galaxy. We are not on a time frame here. This is not your time frame. You're living in an illusion. You are living in an assumption that you've accepted. This is not your reality. It's an assumed reality. It is one that you were educated into. It is one that you were programmed and indoctrinated into. So there is no 2000 coming up. This is his. This is when he learned to walk upright, got a few degrees in the mathematics, 33 to be exact, because it just reached to the tailbone, to the base of his skull. That's 33 right there. So he hasn't had 33 degrees. So essentially, you can't go by his 1999 and 2000. If you deal into that illusion, and then we're in trouble. Because then you really believe we're in the year 2000. We're not. We're way beyond it. Go see The Matrix. It'll play games with your head and put you right into check with it and let you know. But 2000, if you want to deal with the mundane, I would suggest that as a collective, you all start doling out responsibilities for immediate situations. Each one of you all should be getting at least 2 6-gallon cases, at least 6 gallons, 2 cases a week, and putting them away someplace in your basements. Distilled water. If you can get glass bottles, all better. Take them out the plastic and put them into the glass for storage purposes. Tie them down. You can get the regular water and put them away in the plastic cases just for washing. And that's in the event the water companies and the different circumstances around the utilities and so forth start to shut down. Just get your mundane things like batteries. Get yourself things like flashlights. Get yourself wood-burning stove. Put away dry goods in non-toxic cans. Get yourself clothing. Put aside some weapons if you got them. Just store, hunker down where you are. Ain't about you trying to go to the hills because you don't know what to do in the hills. You don't know what to eat in the hills. So get what you got to do now. Learn how to use your own urine as a homeopathic tincture for healing.
As far as what?
What's that?
Like use it for what kind of purpose?
Urine? Well, if you have, quote unquote, any so-called disease disturbances, the urine acts as a tincture to help the body use what it had already created through the cells as the so-called antibiotic. The body creates its own antibiotic because essentially it is the healing instrument. When you understand that the body is the healing instrument, the body creates all of the necessary healing modalities from within. Then the urine essentially takes out of the liquid system, or it just gets rid of or excretes the materials that the blood has used. You could take that in tincture form. Say you take 2 to 3 tablespoons and put it into a vial, dark brown vial that you have with the eyedropper. And then you drop 2 drops of your urine there in it, and then maybe a drop or 2 of vodka, or what do you call it, just to keep it. And you shake it for about 20 minutes. That becomes potentized, and you could use that as a vaccination for yourself. Or learn to drink the urine, the middle portion, about an ounce or 2, every, especially when you're in inimical situations like Y2K is said to do. That's the first thing they do when they teach you in war college. Say you're a pilot and you crash behind enemy lines, the first thing they tell you to do is to collect your urine. They have a thing down the pouch, I don't know if you see it in the pilot's thing. You urinate into that, and you use that as your water, because you can't trust the water that's there. Trust the water coming out of you though, because you ain't sick by it. And I know it gets the people to start saying like, well, damn, you drink my own pee. Yeah, because your ancestors been doing it. You ask your great-great-grandmothers what they used to do when they put on canker sores, or when the skin broke out, or what they used the urine, the soaked diaper, and they put it in and used it in the eye drops and so forth. My ancestors knew what was the deal. So these little things you could do to get ready for now. As far as the using different forms of food sources or outlets, there are places out west, there are some places down south where you can use or you can order 1 month, 2 months, all the way up to 6 months, and they come to you in these cases that have dry goods, but they have meats and all these things. You could actually, if you're not a meat eater, you can take them out. But they have these dry goods that you could survive on for a family of 2, 4, 6, that you could order them. I have to get those, for you and keep in touch with me. I'll just see what's going from there. The reason why Y2K is so unpredictable is because there are a couple of billion different embedded chips around the world that are all interrelated. As of August 22nd, 1999, the GPS, that's the Global Positioning System, which is what flies all the planes around the planet, is coming down. The Air Force said they had to bring it down because the embedded chips cannot be overridden, or they can't put a patch on it for it to override or to bypass any of the particular circuitries that were embedded based upon the 2-digit code from 1901 to 1999. I believe that they already have the answers. I know they do. But I believe that it would be in their best interest to crash systems so that everything becomes essentially worthless, and enough panic, people will sell or buy based on that panic. So what we have to do is, there's a larger and greater force playing games with one another today. We don't have the ability to do anything to affect that. So what we have to do is to through common sense, get ourselves ready in our particular communities. And community is what's going to cause us or give us the wherewithal to survive. Storing your food, storing your water, storing medicinal, storing things that you're going to need just in case, cuts, gunshot wounds, knife wounds, things like that.
Yes. What would those things be that we should store for? So there's medicine and things.
Well, I would suggest, if you're dealing with internal bleeding, 2 herbs, shepherd's purse and plantain, Plantain. These are 2 herbs that help to that have high vitamin K in them, and these high vitamin Ks stops internal bleeding, hemorrhaging. That's in the event of any kind of internal traumas. You want to deal with topicals, comfrey, so that you can use that as a poultice on any kind of blisters or anything that may have caused infections, mosquito bites, things like that. For mosquitoes, things like that, you want to deal with garlic oils, and there's a herb that you could burn. I will follow up on it, and we'll come back to it. But there's a herb you can burn that keeps the mosquitoes away. If you're not filthy inside, mosquitoes don't tend to bother you too much, because mosquitoes deal in swamps, and swamps deal in dead matter. So if you get bitten all the time, it means that the mosquitoes is coming to you because your bloodstream is so filthy, it's like a swamp, and it's attracting them. All right? So you want to deal in that. You want to make sure that you have your bloodstream is crystal as best as it can be in this environment and so forth. And just hunker down. Get the warm clothing. Put them away. Don't throw away no clothing that you know that fits you, is warm, and can work with you. Loose clothing all the time for the summer. And sunglasses, Ray-Bans, things like that. Okay? Yes, brother.
How do you purge your blood system?
Okay, that's a question that we maybe hold over to the time when we're getting into that science right now. We just want to deal with the de facto of what to do for survival right now.
Like, I know we should expect, like, the National Guard's probably, like, taking counts at our house, probably stopping by, like, taking the names or something like that. If, let's say they probably coming by and they have a certain supply of food, and should we let them know that we have our own food? Or would they even, like, go in, do they have the right to come in the house and, let's say, check around?
Yeah,
or would
they do.
Try to do that?
They do. What it is during this time, you getting your food is stockpiling. That's your own business. If there's a national emergency and you try to do that, that's hoarding. And then they can come in and take it.
Yeah, so that we should hide it somewhere if we could?
Yeah, if you can bury it. Idea is to bury it in your yard where it's not conspicuous. Put something over it so that metal detectors can't get into it.
What if you live in an apartment?
You got walls. Dig them out. Patch them over.
Yeah,
if you know that's where you're going to be, you're going to have to find different ways for you to survive. It's all about survival. If you got to get an edible plant book, a book on edible plants, and learn, walk around your community, find out the different types of things that you could actually eat for survival. Because if you don't know what's out in your backyard, they close down these shops. You ain't got nowhere to go to get your ring dings.
Yeah, I've noticed that lately in Manhattan, they're closing all the community gardens down there.
Oh, yeah.
That's connected to this?
It's privatized. They're privatizing everything. There are no more open parks. Ever since this boy, what's his name? Herb man. He walks around and he does herb things in different parts of the country. He walks around and teaches people. He has herb walks. And he tells you where all the edible plants are in the park. You know, they have that. Look out for it.
I heard ginkgo grows like in Central Park or something like that.
Ginkgo grows up and down around here.
Yeah.
You know what it looks like?
Nah.
It looks like a fan. The leaf looks like a fan. You give me a piece of paper, I can draw it for you so that you can go out there and look for it. Does it work?
Yeah.
I got a pencil.
Okay, that's good enough. That's good enough.
You need something to write on? You got a table?
Yeah, I got that. The ginkgo looks like this. The leaf looks like that. Hold it up.
Green?
Yeah, very green. And then it turns a little darker and it falls off in the summertime. I mean in the wintertime. But you could gather them in the fall. You can walk down Chinatown or any place down there, you see all the old people picking up the ginkgo leaves. Okay? And it looks like a fan. You look at the leaf, it looks like a fan.
How big? How big you said?
The leaf is about 1.5 inches to 2 inches across the girth, like that, and it tapers to a stem. And the whole tree is like that. And it shapes kind of round like that.
A tree?
It's a tree.
Oh.
And the tree grows all over. Like where I used to live in Brooklyn, there's 5 of them on one block. People don't know what they were. They were wondering why I was walking around chewing on the leaf. See? But you got to learn where you are. You have to learn, you know, where your community, what your community has to offer. As I was coming up in Rockland, this is all bush, man. I mean, you go along and store, get on herb walks, find out who the herbalists are around here, and just take pictures, if you have to, of the herbs, and so you can identify them. Make a catalog for yourself, so you can identify all the herbs in case you need them and what you need them for. I'm not a herb pusher. I'm not into herbs as a medicinal. It's not me, but I'm not about not using them when you're at war, just like any other circumstance to do anything to deal with wartime situations. Yes, ma'am.
If you was in the woods, right, and you was to get bit by like a raccoon, they say that you have to have like certain shots, right, to like 12 shots in your stomach. I want to know if that was to happen. Let's say you're looking for certain things and you get bit. What can you do?
Snake bites and whatnot.
Well, snake bites. They're talking about rabies. Tetanus and all of that is nonsense. If your body is pure and you're healed right, the worst that could happen is if there's any kind of bacillus in the saliva and it gets into your bloodstream will take care of that. What would happen though, it may end up being uncomfortable during the fight that the body will wage against that invading organism. you will have to shut down all other modalities of activity. The body is the supreme intelligence. It knows what it has to do. So you may start to sweat, you may start feeling bad, you may feel like you have to throw up. It doesn't mean you got to go someplace and take 21 shots or 12 shots in the belly. That's them, you see. Whenever you get bitten by anything, essentially, the body is already on the defensive. You can't catch tetanus, say you get cut, scraped by a rusty nail and all that nonsense. When people get tetanus are poor people who have poor dietary habits, people who are poor and malnutrition in countries like, Biafra and Ethiopia. These people can catch tetanus, and it's caught right here in the navel area. So you have to worry about those things. Science is a church, and they like to boost their demons up so that they can scare you into coming into their church and worshiping before their medical God. So a lot of the fallacies, they build a fear factor that makes you feel that something has gone wrong with you when you feel sick. It don't work that way. Whenever you get sick, something is totally right. Because the very fact that the body is showing you by its divine intelligence that it's taking care of it, you just are not accustomed to those symptoms. So we believe that we must go on the attack. And that's the way they, in the Western world, focus on dealing with medicine. They feel that they got to go on the attack in some way. So when you're in the woods, be careful. Deal with the situation as you know you have to deal. Snake bites, as far as venom is concerned, the first thing you do is to not get excited. As soon as you get excited, your blood pressure goes up, your bloodstream begins to pump, and then you push the poison faster through your system. First thing you do is to go into a state of meditation, get your knife and start sucking. Or just start drawing it out, or turn the tourniquet and tie off to the point where you know the blood is going to go to. Slow the poison to the heart. But I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot of poisonous snakes around here.
Garden snakes.
Garden snakes, just pretty much. I've been bitten by enough of them. I used to have them. Yes, brother.
I was just saying, just in case, run into that situation.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, you go in with your weapons. You go in there with this. This is your main weapon, and you should do well, very well.
Also, like, they thinking that a lot of chaos is gonna break out once people see, like, let's say they see lights go off or whatever. Now they're planning to like go out there and knock us down or whatever. Should we like get worried, let's say, for our families to be separated and all that? You know how we be reading a lot of things.
Right. I was about a year ago. I told people to start getting ready for the National Guard. I was told by somebody inside, and that's all I'm gonna say, that there are over 400 to 450,000 National Guardsmen who are supposed to be moved in strategic areas around this country. They'll be in different cities, the most densely populated cities. There'll be about 4,000 to 5,000 in each of the cities strategically located. What's going to happen is you may see them setting up these towers in different places. You may see them block off streets. You may see people reroute traffic. What they're doing is they're setting up a data bank to know how to turn traffic, not only cars and vehicles, but people. So what they're doing is the National Guard will slowly come in, and you'll see them most likely around June or July. And they're going to try to infuse into your neighborhoods. At least 90% of them will not be American. So it's easier to shoot you if they don't know who you are and don't care. So be looking out for these drills. Last year I told people to be looking out for these drills in Philadelphia, and sure enough in Philadelphia they ran a drill. All the National Guards. They did it up here in New York as well. When they were in the city and they pretended there was this drill run about some biochemical warfare thing had been done, and you see these guys walking around in these spacesuits running these drills. They're running the drills for you because they find that they may have to use toxic weapons to stop mobs who are going crazy because they ain't got their lights, they ain't got their Kentucky Fried Chicken, whatever. So be prepared, keep your head. every time. You must keep your head. Know who your people are. Have a central number that you all are going to go to. If the GPS and any of these satellites shut down, your cell phone ain't going to work. You got to find another way to communicate to one another. So all these little things that you're doing, they're setting up a network, you set up your network. If it's smoke signals, learn how to read smoke. See, these are the things that we have to do. We got to go back to what our ancestors were doing. Go back to your great-grandmother's times, great-great-great-grandmother's times. Find out what did they do to network, what did they do to community. And once you understand how that communication system works, set it up. Don't wait around for somebody to get started. Get started setting it up. The first thing, as I was saying to the brothers who had just come in, the sisters who just came in, is to start dealing with water. That's the basic. You could go with water for 40 days. You don't need to eat for 40 days. You can't drink after 7 or 8. You need to drink something after 7 or 8. That's why you can either recycle your urine or definitely have your water. But that water is important. Get cases. If you got to get 2 cases, sometimes they're like $1.09 or 99 cents a bottle. I mean, 99 cents a bottle for 6, that's $6. You got 6 gallons of water there.
Sam's, if everyone knows Sam's and Costco's, BJ's, and so,
yeah,
4-gallon jugs.
Just put them aside, and then they got to know, oh, I'm having a party. Relatives, oh, we having this. They ain't got to know what you're doing. Just put it there in the basement. Ain't nobody got to know nothing about it. It's there. If nothing happens, you just got some more water to drink. But if something does happen, that's your lifeline. Because the water that we have now, I don't know. I know none of y'all drinking out of the tap. I hope not. Because if you're drinking out the tap, you're in trouble. Leave the tap alone. Deal either distilled water or the best kind of water. Between the distilled water, they have some electricized water or magnetized water, some new kind of water they have that's supposed to have some kind of kick to it. Water is water. You can catch it from the clouds in higher elevations. That's the best kind of water. Distilled, or what is known as reverse osmosis, is the thing that you could set up to your tap. Takes a long time to make water, but it goes through 3 different filtering systems in the reverse osmosis system for it to be clear water. Yes, brother.
Say the time comes when you haven't stored up your water. Is there a way to purify water?
Yeah, the best way to purify water is with a drop of bleach to every gallon. And then what you do is you water that down between 2 gallons. That's the best way you can purify it from there. Or there are charcoal. You can deal with activated charcoal that has not been that has been cleared of its activated part, the ones that they use to filter water. Just have yourself a block of that. You could buy a few of them from Brita and keep them in your pocket in that event. Okay, these little things are all about you just storing up. Get some boots that you know don't leak. Get some stuff that you could put on that you could last for a long time. I had these boots for 5 years. Put on that you could last for a long time. I had these boots for 5 years. Well, I need to buy another one. When the tongue fall out, yeah, if I can fix it, yeah, I can't fall. I go to my next boot. But minimize your spending. Make sure that what you're spending on is things that you're going to need. Look around your house. If there's a lot of extraneous stuff that you're decorating in with, a lot of that decoration could be going to practical things. Always think practical. For this next year, practicality is going to be what it's all about. I mean, there's going to be excess. Everybody's going to be partying. You're going to have those beasts partying at the pyramid and all that kind of nonsense because they know what the New World Order is all about for themselves. It's their timetable. You look on the dollar bill, you see it's their timetable. It's not your timetable. You're in the year like 51, 57. No, you're in the year like 75,000. Okay, so this is not your year. This is his year. He's only been on this planet. He stopped knuckle dragging 2,000 years ago only. Your hair is what, 78 trillion years? You wondering about the year 2000? Let's get to the next harmonic. You know?
So I heard that they're supposed to be in the pyramid. They're supposed to wait for some sort of power that's supposed to generate the pyramid.
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
Well, I'm not too sure what games they're playing. I know that they have unlocked a key. Back in World War I, some engineers in Europe, over in Greece, unlocked a case. They uncovered a case. Inside of it had paperwork, papyrus. And in that papyrus broke down all the key entrances to a subterranean temple under the pyramids. Now, when they breached it, they found out the theory inside this particular paperwork. The paperwork had the theory of liquid light, time travel, internal cellular travel. All of these things were inside of this sarcophagus.
Nuclear.
Well, nuclear is old. Essentially, what they were talking about is liquid light. So they began. Einstein was there to open it up. Tesla, Oppenheimer, about 3 others. One of the guys I met, this Caucasian who worked on Philadelphia experiment. Did a thing with him at one of our gatherings of the masters. If you want to, you can get in touch with Minister Brown. When he came to the gathering of the masters, his name was Al Bielik, and one of the people who were the head of the Montauk projects came and sat and talked with us too. And they talked about the fact that there was information that they were linking up to Mars, to Venus, to Jupiter, and they were setting up a web because the information that we had now, that we left, our people no longer live in this solar system. They live in a harmonic of this solar system. We don't, the people that we left behind here, just left behind essentially to learn what we had to learn, do what we had to do to maintain until those who were left here would transcend. That's what we're here for. That's what you all are here back to do. To get the titles, to get the information, get the things you need so that you can make the jump to light speed. Because essentially, this whole paradigm is collapsing. It's imploding. And they know it. So we're getting ready to make the next step, but you've got to make it into inner space, not outer space. That's the secret. And the game is to make you aware or to play you into outer space. But ain't nothing out there. We're in a whole other place now. Brothers come in and out of this dimension to visit us here and there. They don't tell you who's on them ships.
We wanted to get deeper into that later, you know what I mean? But like also like in our town right here, right? We got this town over here by the river. They got like, man, we got like, I don't know how many cameras we got there, man. 7, like 10, 8, 7. That what do you think? You know, because we read all like in like Behold the Pair Horns, all these other books, you know, talking about how in the future they're gonna try to have surveillance on us, watch what we do and all this stuff. How do you think that's playing a role within the Y2K, the cameras? You know?
Well, the cameras are going to be set up. Big brother, big sister is going to be all over the place. It's for you to start looking to the people, because you know there are a few moles inside of these organizations, like the military, police department. They know what's going on. They don't like what's going on, but they're there. There's ways to utilize. There's books out there to tell you how all of them work. That's the thing. You see, the thing is, like they said, you heard the saying. You want to hide it. If you're going to hide something from a black man, put it in a book. You can. The whole thing is in the books. You can destabilize that. There's ways for you to create weaponry that can take those out. Keep them up there, constantly fix it. Pop, they're back again. See, you can do it. You wage a guerrilla war. And to worry about cameras, the camera is just an instrument. It can be bypassed. You can take it out. Don't worry about all these little things. That just shows his fear of you.
So what about like I heard that like chips are going to be put into us, like as far as the
They're already in them.
Yeah,
They're already in them.
So like what can we do, because you know we have to protect the woman. And you know there's a lot of hospitals out here. It's not for the benefit of the people. So how can that be stopped?
Well, high magnetic pulse destabilizes the chip. So you could get, say, like a 3,000 to 4,000 Gauss magnet and pass the north and south pole over the area and destabilize any frequency that they're trying to pump into your head or any signals that they're trying to get out of it.
follow that question. What is the electromagnetic spectrum? How are they going to use that against?
Well, they're already using it. It's in your television. These new high definition televisions, they're going to be two-way. Not only that, they're going to be able to entrain information without telling you they're doing it. They're going to do it on high pulse waves. Name is Preston Nichols. Said that he went with Al Bielek to his house because Al Bielek was getting some headaches. Al Bielek is the dude who did the Philadelphia experiment. Went back in time. Matter of fact, they regressed him to the womb, brought him back. Okay. He said that they messed with the time frame reference, so that your question being, come again with it.
Electromagnetic.
That electromagnetic spectrum itself, they pulse it through HBO, the new HBOs they got. See all these HBOs? All these are on different new frequencies. Now they done triangulated your brain. Okay? They can affect different parts of your brain with entrainment. Always remember that word, entrainment. He was in this guy's house, so he went out there. He's wondering where this particular sound was coming from.
Is it squeaky sound?
No, it's not a squeaky sound.
I'll be hearing the sound from the TV.
Okay, but yeah, you're probably hearing certain things based on your ability to feel it. You're not actually hearing it, you're feeling it. Big difference. This pulse, he isolated all of the things. So he said, okay, let me do channel 2. Let me do channel 4. He isolated all the bands for all the television networks. When he got to HBO, he looked at the band. He said, okay, that looks like the band. But then he noticed an anomaly in the band. So he isolated the anomaly, and he's saying, well, what the heck is this? I ain't never seen nothing like this before. So he looked at the anomaly, and he tried to study it, because being an electrician, an electrical engineer, he ain't never seen no bandwidths like this. So he's like, oh, man, what is this thing? He got an idea, and he went to a man who was one of the top brain surgeons in the world. And he showed him this thing. And he said, well, what is this? I don't know what the heck that is. The guy looked at it, he said, oh, that's a brainwave pattern. He said, a brainwave pattern? He said, yeah, where'd you get that? He said, I got it off the television, off the HBO signal. So the brainwave pattern, that brainwave pattern also had a pulse in the pattern. And it would come at intermittent times, boom, and you wouldn't see it for about, say, 30 seconds, then boom, then you wouldn't see it again for another 10 minutes or 15 minutes, then boom, and then he finally got a pattern. And then he found out from a neurophysicist that there are ways to entrain you with quantum bits of information in pulses of light. There are ways to entrain you with quantum bits of information in pulses of light.
What's that mean, really?
So what they do is they could put a whole lot of information in a pulse of light, get past your conscious mind, and seed your subconscious mind, so that your subconscious mind is giving instructions to your conscious mind, and you don't even know it.
So you do things.
There it is.
All right.
And you get sick based upon certain triggers. See, they're always coming out with this game. First, they entrain you with the signal. They entrain you with the instructions. Your subconscious picks up the instructions and begins to act on the cellular structure. Now they begin to give you the code word that kicks in the programming. Oh, we have a new flu coming over from China. Symptoms are, and then you start getting symptoms. You don't know why you're getting the symptoms, because you ain't did nothing wrong. All of a sudden symptoms come. That's the preliminary process to breaking you down. And they've got the science set in place. And it's over your radio, and unfortunately, in the music. In the music. See, what they did, the science is, and you all overrode the science. That's why I got to give it to you, because we like Bebe's kids. The science was to change African rhythms so that it became from a healing to a destructive. The healing, if you listen to music that they put back from, say, the jazz era, because remember, jazz is black meditation music. They don't know what that is. When you're talking Coltrane, Bird, when you're talking Diz, when you're talking Lionel, when you're talking these people, you're talking about them tapping into the frequency and coming back and making sounds, not music, specific tones with the instruments they had. That's why these brothers and the sisters had to take drugs, because where they were coming back from, when they landed back here to try to play what they knew, only the drugs could open up that black dot center for them to actually feel what was coming through the information. So you need to be listening to Coltrane. You need to be listening to Bird. You need to be listening to Diz, because these people have frequency information that protects you from what I just told you about. You see. And what happened was, they knew that they had to stop music, because they knew that music was the way that we conveyed our feelings. Because feelings are nothing else but sounds and tones going off in your head, based upon your memory, based upon what it is that you've experienced. All that is feeling. Music activates those feelings and then makes you do certain things, makes you feel certain things. They changed the beat. There was a beat that they did. The way they operated was to take the beat out of the drummer's hands and put it into the mechanic's hands, into their machinery, to take you out of your organic consciousness and put you into an electronic consciousness. Immediately, they've already programmed your brain to go at a syncopated pace. That's what disco was. Disco was 160 beats a minute. That 160 beats a minute is what the Nazis used to use to hypnotize the people who were in the concentration camps. So now, they took that and they found out, okay, we can get them dancing, we can get them taking drugs, we can get them dancing for hours. Because disco music would go on for like 10 hours, one song. And you niggas be up there dancing 10 hours. They don't know why. Then they moved it. They couldn't get past people like Earth, Wind, and Fire. Couldn't get past people like War. And people were dropping science. You need to listen to Earth, Wind, and Fire, because they were dropping science as well. And they had to stop them real quick. So what did they do? They changed the rhythm to that of a heartbeat in stress. And that's what the bottom beats to you all were in rap. Now, I know it's like, oh man, how did they do that? They did it. The beat that you're working with right now is not your beat. You're on a 4/4. Black music is 6/4. Your heartbeat is 6/4. It ain't 4/4. Now I know it's something I tell all my young brothers and sisters, even my son, 19. I tell him, I said, you know, it's good that you all have gotten past that, but that 4/4 beat that they got you locked into, they got you locked into a pathological beat. It's good for dancing, but it's pathological to your body. See, you brothers have taken it to the next stage, you sisters have taken it to the next stage, because now you all are dealing with the changing up the rhythm pattern. I noticed it, and I said, whoa, wait a minute. That ain't the rhythm pattern. I said, oh, a few survived. They understood. They got out of that. Because most of the 4/4, if you listen, most of the 4/4 came that gangster rap. That's what they put the gangster rap on, the 4/4. But if you notice all of the party rhythms and the energies, they're on a whole other syncopation. Now they can't touch your syncopation. That's what saved you all. The syncopation in the rap. And that's again, you see, that's what I'm saying. We survive. Like one person I know that is a jazz aficionado, has to be, even if he's doing it spontaneously, is Busta Rhymes. Everybody think he's a clown. But he's George Clinton. And everybody thought George Clinton was a clown. But if you got George Clinton's old music, you hear he was no clown. He was dropping science inside of the music. And Busta's syncopation is what's breaking up that 4/4 pathology. He's got you all doing something and stopping. He's got you. See, he's changing it up. He's got you all feeling differently. He's changing up the rhythm. He's taking it out of the syncopation of pathology, and he's putting it into the syncopation of jazz. What do you think his riffs are? People who are on the frequency see what Buster's doing. Go back to Bird and listen to his riffs, and you'll hear Buster. So there's always one who flies over, or one who flies over the cuckoo's nest. And that's the one that changes it back. Now, you all are here because the syncopation is different. The energy is going to be different from now on. You all have broken free. The only thing is, you all got to reach back because they're going after the next one, the next generation, your generation.
Do you know anything about, like, the Rumberos?
What I hear from them?
It's way back, you know, like any salsa artists, like way back. Like,
oh man, I used to love salsa from Joe Cuba. And
yeah, not different from right now. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Hector Lavoe, Willie Colon.
Yes, Willie Colon.
What do you say about that?
Oh man, they were on the frequency. They took the Afro-Cuban beat, and you know what the Afro-Cuban beat was? That was Santeria. That's all it was. Why do you think Castro's still in office? They can't get him out. He's got his roots. Them drums. Those drums. You ever been to the African Street Carnival? And if you ever been, they notice they stopped the drums there as soon as they sold out the African Street Carnival. It's now some kind of nonsense. That's been sold out. Corporations got that. Okay? So they didn't think that, you know, you're going in there to see your Africanness. It ain't nothing like when I remember it started. It started in a little place in St. Peter Claver's place, down there in Brooklyn off Fulton Street. What it's become is a monster. It ain't got nothing to do with Africanness. It ain't got nothing to do with us. It's all about promoting through the multinationals. Because you go right there and you see them quietly spreading their poison. Okay, they're the ones footing the bill now. They sold it out. But as far as Joe Cuba and Willie Colon and Ray Barreto, all of them on the frequency, man. They're all frequency tapped. Because they're the ones who kept the organic African music going.
On drugs too, they was with mad drugs.
Oh man, yeah. But that's the only way they could have tolerated that kind of energy. Because they were bringing, you know what it is when you start bringing through music like jazz? You start going through, you can't live amongst regular people. You can't have a conversation with regular people. So you have to escape. The people blabbing in your ear about, you know, where we going to go down and, oh, you're such a great musician. Yeah, right. Okay, yeah. You don't want to hear that. You want somebody to kind of tap into you and feed you because the cosmos is just flowing through you. So sometimes you got to stop the flow. You got to get high and then, you know, just hopefully just blank out. Okay? Where are we? Where are we with it?
What you want? Any more Y2K things you had listed there?
Yeah, I suggested one with what is the connection between Y2K and quote unquote the mothership?
Okay, mothership. This is the mothership, essentially. I've told people that ain't nothing coming down to take us up off it. What they're gonna do is move the planet. I told people about 5 years ago that whole new planets are going to start showing up like these new planets. Ain't no new planets. We're being moved out of the neighborhood, so to speak, the solar system. So now we're in a whole other perspective. And what we're seeing now from the vantage points that we are in, because we're in a new vantage point, it looks like there's a new planet. Ain't no new planet. The whole solar system is being moved. I told you earlier there was 12 black holes that appeared. Black hole just absorbs light, but not only absorbs light, that's like the cosmic womb. You know, these are these cosmic wombs that come in to give birth to a whole new time. They position light. That's what a black hole does. It repositions light. So now you're going to see things that you never saw before. This particular paradigm, if you want to go down with this ship, then just do everything they tell you on TV, dress like they tell you to do on TV, play games like they tell you to do on TV, and you sink, just like everybody else is going to sink who was on TV. Everybody who is off that sinking ship, everybody who is not going to play into that imploding paradigm, is now setting up the structures for the new paradigm. It ain't something that's rosy. It ain't something that's going to give you a whole new set of kicks. It ain't something that's going to bring you love. It's going to bring you a deeper understanding of yourself through trial. How many people want to deal with trial nowadays? Everybody want to find the easiest way around. So, playing into what it is they want to keep you sustained at, they really got our sisters locked. The sisters that are, you know, the one who was playing up, God, I could not see one natural haired sister at this, what do you call it, event. What was that, this music awards? Everybody had this dead bone straight hair. I couldn't believe it. Where were the black women? I just saw white women with deep tans. So I saw some sister, I saw, what's her name? And I'm praying, listen, we got to raise up a prayer that they don't snatch. Lauren is. Because she's due to do a movie where she's playing the love interest of this white boy.
What the?
Okay? And it's going to be your boy Mark Wahlberg or some other. Alright, now, when you saw her on Time Magazine, you know it was over. You don't put nobody on Time Magazine unless you're getting ready to use her. So she's going to be the new hip-hop Oprah. Y'all watch out. Y'all watch out. She's bad, but watch out. Okay? She's sold. Because if you're on Time Magazine, you sold. It ain't going to be hip-hop no more. It's going to be hip-hop. You watch. They're going to turn it pop. How do you get rid of a movement? You popularize it. So that everybody was wearing red, black, and green sneakers. Red, black, and green eye shades. It didn't mean nothing anymore. It's all now Michael Jackson-y and all glitz and glamour. And you got, instead, why do you think they killed and assassinated Biggie Smalls? Why do you think they killed and assassinated Tupac? And then they left you with Puff Daddy.
Whoa.
Don't you understand what that was? He don't say shit. Excuse me, sister. He ain't said nothing. He's just telling you where to party, how big the chain should be. My son dances on all these videos. You may see him every now and then. He just did something with Puff Daddy. He's walking down the aisle because they're supposed to be at some sort of disco where women are half naked dancing and stuff. He's walking down throwing 20s all over the place. What's that got to do with anything? And his boy, his little lapdog, Nas. What is this with him putting on comedic facial features here in the I Am? Is that brother rapping anywhere near to where that brother was I was listening to?
No.
He's talking about how much booty he gonna get, how much money he gonna spend, and how much money you don't have. So you better be watching. The fact that they killed Biggie, Biggie was the only one who kept it real. He would talk about, you know, let's go to gunning and slinging and killing. And that's what it was. It's war. But the only thing was, he did not know who the enemy was. If he stayed up long enough, he would find out. And if he kept his edge, he would be trouble. Same thing with Tupac. Because they were speaking about what was really going on. And they had too much of a following. No black messiah. The National Security Council, after they assassinated King and after they assassinated Malcolm, said no black messiah shall rise from their ranks again. And all of your messiahs are saying anything that's going to raise you out of your ignorance, they're going to take them out. This was no gangland shooting. These were assassinations from the government. So they didn't give you Puff Daddy. What has Puff Daddy done for music? Except pimped everybody else's and then done what? There's nothing. He's got you dancing. He don't got you thinking. And they got him as the icon of your age. Now they got her as the icon of your age. And they've taken it away from the brothers who are saying the science and giving it to the girl who's going to do like Oprah. Love everybody. Hip hop is just everything. It's all. And who's this white boy that they got doing hip hop now that your boy is bringing in here? Oh, he's got a serious beat that this brother put back for him, and of course they're gonna slip in Elvis Presley. You don't see what's happening to your tool. This was your weapon. This is what was going to change, because your words were like bullets coming, and they were coming in there saying, "Oh man, oh they weren't killing, they were bringing you back to life." And what now? What you doing? You back down to that stupid disco, and you dancing along. Don't you understand what they've done to you? They give you your leaders. They give you your stars. They select who you will listen to and who you will go brain dead to. And that's what they've done. So I'm telling you, watch for Lauren. Hopefully sister still has her head, but them locks don't say nothing. That's just the ticket to get you to look at her. Just pray that she don't go out there and be no love interest on the movies now, because they're blowing her up for the movies. They're giving her 5. Once I saw they give her 5, I said, oh, wait a minute. I know what that is. They're buying her. And they're buying you all.
Alright. I have a question. I heard, right, that Pluto, right, is the only planet that goes the opposite direction of the other planets.
Okay.
Like, and that's the first planet to another galaxy.
Yeah.
Like, what's the science?
It was the
behind
Guardian.
that? What happened?
It was the Guardian.
It was the Guardian?
Pluto was the first, quote-unquote, planet that Nibiru sees as it comes into our galaxy. Nibiru is Marduk. You ever heard about the Anunnaki and the Nibiru? I think Dr. York speaks about it. But he talks about it as these people and stuff. It's Babylonian myth. There's a planet that every 3,500 years comes into our solar system. It is attracted to our sun. So it is actually part of our solar system. It is, and it is inhabited. It is a ship. And it came in the form of the Hale-Bopp. And a few people were dropped off from that.
It's Jupiter?
No.
Hale-Bopp, what was it?
No, that was another thing. That was, they shot all these, what the metaphysicians know as sperm cells at Jupiter. If you read Behold a Pale Horse, you hear him telling you that the Jason Society was getting ready to set up a whole set of nuclear rockets to try to turn Jupiter back into a sun, which is ridiculous. You can't.
Oh yeah, Jupiter.
Right. And what happens is the sun itself is a burgeoning or a planet in the making. So you can't turn it back into a sun because the constituents is already so compact. You may have a glow, you may trigger a glow, but it has to come back again. The only way you can do that to the surface. And these guys, these knuckleheads ain't got enough juice to be turning nothing into no nuclear explosion to turn into a society. Boy, they dream. Anyway, compact. You may have a glow, you may trigger a glow, but it has to come back again. The only way you can do that to the surface. And these guys, these knuckleheads ain't got enough juice to be turning nothing into no nuclear explosion to turn into a society. Boy, they dream. Anyway, they wanted to change Jupiter into a sun because we're supposed to be getting ready to go into the next ice age. All this global warming ain't got nothing to do with it. This is just the preliminaries to actually a new ice age that's getting ready to happen. And a sun, quiet as it's kept, a sun is a planet in the making. You deal with the Bible, you talk about Adam and Eve, and they say that Eve was taken from the rib of Adam. The rib is actually the rays you see come out of that. Once that sun gives up its nuclear fluid or fuel to a certain point, it shrinks, it contracts. As it contracts, it cools, and then all of a sudden it spins out and then begins to fly off. That's the prodigal son in the Bible. It's caught by another sun in the making, by its gravity, and then as it begins to be caught in the gravity, it gets caught in that gravity and it cools after a couple of 100 million years. And that's how you get Eve. So the sun is an earth in the making. The moon is what the earth becomes. And then the asteroids that you see free floating is what eventually the moon breaks up to become. And then after the asteroid, it goes back to what is known as the dust. And from the dust, it goes back to the incandescent gases that constitute the life force of the universe, which then again come back to coalesce to create another sun. That's the cycle.
Is that why Adam was made out of dust?
Hey, brother, see, it don't take much. All you got to know is this, the key to the science.
Oh, that's cool. I want to ask too about oh yeah. See, if all this hell is supposed to break loose, right, and we're going, like, let's say, to school and all these things, like, what's the purpose of all this stuff?
Yeah, I know. I don't even know why. You know, school today is a joke. You know, y'all need to get some old rappers, last poets, and you need to start back with them. School today is based on, I don't know if you were at my last lecture, school today is based on the Prussian system of education, which is a system of indoctrination and stupefaction. During the Franco-Prussian War, if you studied your so-called world history, which is actually European history, the French were fighting the Germans. The French beat the Germans. The Germans wanted to know why the French beat the Germans. They did an assessment. The hierarchy, the elite, did an assessment of why it is the French kicked our asses. Okay. They found out that when the generals were giving orders to the lower men, the colonels and all of them, and when the colonels then gave it to the men and the troops, too many questions were asked. In other words, the Germans were so well educated that even the soldiers were second guessing, well, why did you say that? I mean, you know, optimistically we could go, you know, you got a grunt in the field kind of trying to assess what the heck is going on and questioning commands. They ran over them because they had all the trash of Europe in France. They had these dullards that just didn't care about anything. They were getting paid. Just go and shoot. You go there. Okay, I'll go there. So they did whatever the commander said, and they just whipped the Germans. So what they did was they came back licking their wounds. The Prussians went back and found out that our people are too educated, so they set up a three-tiered system. The three-tiered top 3.5% will be educated to rule. 90, I would say, no, the next 5 or 20% would be your lawyers, your doctors, your politicians, all of these. They would be between the ruling elite and the last 90%. The last 90%, you give them the dumbed down version. That's what you all are in. You are here to fit in a loop that they've created so that you become good workers for the elite. And those people like the lawyers, the policemen, the doctors are there to maintain you inside of your loop. As a matter of fact, this particular three-tiered system was set up right at the start of the Industrial Revolution. So that they needed functionaries. They didn't need thinkers. They needed doers. So you had to educate somebody to be just dumb enough to feel that they were satisfied screwing on a light bulb. Then rolling it down, screw on another light bulb. Go home, drink his beer, watch whatever it is, come back, screw on another light bulb for 65 years. So your whole education system was doing a disservice to your consciousness and your intelligence. They found out that people with melanin, black boys with melanin, were becoming increasingly despondent and did not want to deal with this education system because we at that time had a middle class of working blue-collar people who essentially were putting bread on the table. The man was the head of his household. The woman was the educator, the teacher of the children. You did not have to take your children and put them anyplace. Your mother and your grandmother sent you to somebody that they chose to teach you, not the state. So now when the state began taking over and credentializing people and saying that you had to have credentials to teach children, you accepted a social security number, you were a slave now. You could not do what you wanted to do. So with your social security number and your driver's license and your marriage license and all of this kind of crap, they adhered you to a system of statutes. No longer did you come under law. So now, here you are, trying to go to school, trying to get an education, trying to get a job. A job. just over broke. And that's how they kept you in a job. And now what they found out is when Malcolm's came up, when Marcus came up, when King came up, all of them were appealing to a middle class as well as a blue-collar class of black people that were ready for change. They still had their jobs. They had the ability to go on strike and affect the upper echelon. So what did they do? They moved the jobs out of, destroyed the industrial base so that you could not come together anymore as a man. They took the actual power out of the hands of the man and put it in the hands of the woman. So you no longer can get together as men to make sure that your community was safe. Who has the nerve to come in 25, maybe 100 years ago to try to take your child from you? What state? Who shoot them dead? Nowadays, they offer them up because under a feminist state, you now belong to the state. The state becomes the husband. You become disenfranchised. You either go to jail, you're homeless, or you're dead. Or you play sports. Or you learn how to... So you understand now, the whole movement now towards empowering women. And this is no castigation of your sister, because I've studied my sister for nigh on 30-something years. I have a 27-year-old daughter. I have a 25-year-old son, 19-year-old son. I hope to have more children. And I've studied life. I've studied women because essentially 85% of the women or the people who come to see me are women. So I get to hear it all. I put a composite of everything going on in my sister's mind, and it came to me that sisters are more functionaries of information. You give a sister information, she'll take the information, she'll run with it. She will stay within those brackets, operate within those information, and she will not take herself out of that loop. Very difficult to get her out of it. That's why they put women up front when they want certain things done, and that's all they want done. Because ain't nothing else going to be changed. With men, we get creative. We just don't want to change it to make sure it feels better this way. No, it shouldn't be this way. It should be, I feel it going better, because the man could not allow that in the workplace. So that's why all the women have your jobs, because now you've become a functionary. Don't take much to stand before there and do this. Push paper. You are now in the information age. Women run on information. That's why you have the information age. Men run on knowledge. Big difference. It's not mean that they're inferior. Please, don't even think that. It means that they function on a whole other circuitry. And that circuitry is being used to maintain the ceiling of your perception, maintain the ceiling of your advancement. You give the power to the women. Men run on knowledge. Big difference. It's not mean that they're inferior. Please, don't even think that. It means that they function on a whole other circuitry. And that circuitry is being used to maintain the ceiling of your perception, maintain the ceiling of your advancement. You give the power to the women and let the women do what the white woman wants her to do, because it's the white woman that's giving the black women the jobs. And it's the white man that's giving the white woman the money to maintain that particular scenario. And until we understand that, when you see Oprah Winfrey, I mean, what is that? Who is she? What has she done to collectively raise us as a people? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Who are all these women that are writing books now about what it is that's wrong with our relationships? They're all being published by white Jewish women who are invariably feminists, half of whom are invariably lesbians. I know it because I've been there. I know who it is I'm dealing with as the enemy. You have more of an enemy now in your home than you ever had before, because she is brought into the equality equation. There's no such thing as equality. They even have a book out that I was reading called The Rules. Two white women got together and wrote a book called The Rules. Brothers, read the book. It's about how to get men and turn them into house pets. I'm not kidding.
Is that the one with the caricature drawings in it?
No. No, this is just a little book. It's called The Rules. It's written by these two white women who said that their grandmother told them to do this and had men just knocking the door down for them.
You know the names of the authors?
No, I don't. I should work. Wow. It's called, well, you can't get it. You can go to, it's called The Rules. Just go to Barnes and Nobles and ask for The Rules. And read them. Okay? And what I'm saying to you is that the feminists have given the power after they killed the king, because remember, it's a chess game they were playing. The chess game was to kill the king. The white king killed the black king. It just so happened to be named king. After that, he sent the white queen after your black queen. And essentially, you cannot find a black woman who is for political and economic and black change that is not taking any compromise. She is consistently in bed, literally and figuratively, with the white feminist. And you will see that with Ayanna Van Zandt, who I happen to have had at my particular gathering. She wrote Acts of Faith. You will see that with this nonsense about, sister, I'm sorry. Black men genuflecting and apologizing to women for all of what we have supposed to have done to them. We're not talking about the outer conditions that create it. Nobody's focusing on what started it. We are focusing in on this internal battle that is the effects of the cause that is outside of us. So now they're going to have us pacified by genuflecting and saying, okay, my sisters, we're sorry. Now what? What do we do? Now we as men are asking the women what to do. What are the women going to tell us to do?
Lick my peach.
Say that out? Say what you say.
Bow down and call me God.
Yeah. Essentially, give me everything I want, because essentially this is what is going to make me happy. Make me happy, you don't get the blues. What are the blues? Well, the blues are my dissatisfaction, my anger at you not being able to produce. I can get a job, why can't you? These are the things that we're going to be hearing all throughout it. And we're going to have men from quote-unquote churches who will be trumpeting the sound for the new feminist movement 2000. Take a daughter to work. Where's your son? Isn't he supposed to be taught to be the provider and the protector? Not today. You are not taught to be who you are. You can't go for a basketball scholarship anymore because you're not in competition with another brother. You're in competition with a sister. Just listen to what equality does. It is not equality. It is stagnation. It is maintaining a threshold for your development and for your advancement. The best way to stop a whole race or species or people is to destroy the men by making them non-productive. When you take them out of the equation, you put the women in their place, you have the society. It belongs to you, because black woman is not a threat to the society.
They even made movies about that. I saw a movie about that once.
What's that?
At the end of time, it was just all women and there were no men. Fighting over like this one man that was left.
It was miserable. Must have been miserable. But that's what's happening to our sisters today. Our sisters are extremely efficient. 90% of them have PhDs. The ones that come to be the most miserable are the ones that are the most quote-unquote successful. They have monetary things. They all kick ass in the workplace, but they have no life. They have BMWs. Most of them have homes, lonely, empty. I've been there. I've seen it. And this is what they needed to do. They wanted to destroy the black woman's attention. They found out that the black woman, when she was there supporting the black man for the civil rights, when she was with there and beside the black man when he was dealing with it, how much farther when the Nation of Islam was kicking in at the time when you were dealing with it? Men, these were black male movements. The Nation of Islam, the Black Star movement with Marcus Garvey. These were not women's movements. We didn't have women's and men's movements. That's how they split us. What's a black feminist? That's an oxymoron. It doesn't exist. It exists in a perception that that woman has been given of herself. You see, and women are trend seekers and trend followers. You give her a training. You tell her, you get the job. Just do that. Well, welfare is yours. Oh, don't worry about it. Everything. We have women's groups, thousands of them, all over the place. We got centers for women. Do you remember there was an actual attack on men's centers where men actually congregated? There was this thing to de-emphasize the fact that why is men only have these? Why does men, instead of them getting their own thing, they came after ours, took it. Now you can't even gather by yourselves anymore to be men. But you can find 1,000 different women's organizations all around supporting women. This is a plan. It is a well, sweetly executed. Now, if Hillary Rodham Clinton or if this other woman runs for president and wins, I'm out of the country. I'm leaving. And this is no castigation to women, but I can't trust me. I can't trust him in politics, but I know what his nature. I don't know nothing about a woman in politics when it comes down to that, because immediately, whatever it is you do, and remember, they're not inventing anything new. They're not giving you any new changes of anything. They're coming in and taking over what you already created. Tell me what it is that the woman has created that she now is operating in. Is basketball something she created? Did she create football? Did she playing you off against one another? And that's what I'm saying to the brothers and sisters who may be looking at this tape. Sister, you're sitting next to your man. You have your little, little circles with your sisters, and you do your thing, and you talk about all the ways that you could deal with the man, and it's the best way to do it. Start planning revolution. All of that is self-centered. You all got to get purpose now. This paradigm is falling apart. They're giving you everything you want, sister, because they know that it's through your womb that they have to exist. Remember, the Caucasian has found that he has 60% sterility in his race now. His race is now dropping off. His birth rate is dropping off. That's why he's having all these super multiple births. Mm-hmm. Multiple births is the sickest thing you could ever do to a woman's womb. Mm-hmm. Multiple births is having litters. It's not having a child. It's not giving birth. You're giving birth to litters. That's what dogs do. And that's what this Caucasian has to do, because his sperm count went down since World War II. After the atomic bomb dropped, after all of this electronic, his sperm count began to drop. He can't have children. His wife can't have children anymore. But he's seeing all over the world people of color just blowing up all over the place. What do you think he has to do? He has to recruit the black womb. He even changed the census. You look at the census today, and it's white with Spanish background, white with Puerto Rican background, white with all of these different things that used to be just white, WASP, Anglo-Saxon. They ain't there no more. So what they're going to do is they're going to recruit the black woman, turn her white, because remember, on one of the Essence magazines, sister, if you're a follower, they showed you what the new face of color is supposed to be. It's a light-skinned black woman with sandy hair, like mine, with green eyes. That's the new black woman. That's why these sisters immediately after that began putting on these contacts. So he's recruiting your woman to be the bearer and the survivor. He's going to give her all the money to become the fancy caretaker mammy for his new saved generation. So you better watch out, my brothers and sisters, because they're stealing your future. Don't fall into that trap. Yes, brother.
In the book, it's The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews.
Good book.
They talk about all that stuff about the Jews in the Caribbean. They took, women and like even big-time Jews, like some, well-known Jews. They said they seen them walk in the streets where women and all that.
All boundaries.
And even, our presidents and all that stuff.
There you go. Well, you see, this is all part of the plan. Remember, Global 2000 is yet to be initiated. 2.5 billion people of color must be exterminated by the year 2016, because in the next 50 years, white will virtually not exist. Will virtually not exist.
Next way,
Next 50 years. Yeah. Matter of fact, did you see Bulworth?
Mm-hmm. That was hot.
Go check Bulworth. Check the. I mean, I'm telling you about certain movies where they give you the politicians went off. They were pissed off when they saw this. But the thing at the ending was that all that white boy had to do was play you all, and did he not get that black woman to say, "You my nigga now"? Okay? Understand what that's about. That's the quiet thing that's happening. They're recruiting you by taking on your guys. Now you got this other, what's this white boy's name again you just told me? Eminem. Eminem. But check the science behind Eminem. What's inside Eminem? Yeah. Yeah. He's got all kind of coverings with different colors. But he's black inside. Alright? So he's playing that game too. It's all a mind game. Because you like eating your M&M. Black folks love M&M. Just like they like Kool-Aid. And that's where they're going to poison you all. Yes, go ahead. We're going to get to the next threshold, next metaphysical threshold.
Well, I just want to add on to the equality. You said there's no such thing as equality, you know, and what I look at is, right, you know, there's no such thing as equality where the woman wants to play the role of a man. I say equality is for the woman to be her own self and the man be himself. That is equality within
Let's call it another word. Let's call it compatibility.
Harmony.
Harmony.
Yeah.
There you go. Because the yin and the yang must exist for life to be. A yin can't play yang. Because immediately she cancels herself out. And she has to become yang. And since yang is dominant, anything she does that's outside of her yin, she'll become the yang because yang is dominant. So she'll start creating testosterone. And that's what's been happening to our sisters. You look at these females that's playing basketball. These don't look like no women.
Yeah, hair.
Oh yeah, they got hair growing down the chin. They got a mustache. They got to shave every morning.
They even have the testosterone pill now.
That's what I'm saying. They make their own testosterone by the strenuous activity that these women are doing with themselves. They create stress-related hormones to keep up with the stress, and that's where we come in. We start creating what is known as androsterones, which andro meaning man. So testosterone is created by people who have what? Testes. You know? So if you got a woman who's creating testosterone, what is that doing to her dynamic? Well, I'll tell you what's doing. It's causing fibroid tumors. It's causing the cysts in the breast.
Yes.
See, they're not playing that. They don't tell you that testosterone. They tell you, well, girl, you can get back your sexual ardor after you're 40 or 50. Just use a little testosterone. They're not telling you that testosterone is partly the cause of you having the problems you do today. All the diseases these sisters have, the depression that women are feeling today, based on androsterones, and a change in their cellular activity. When the cells begin to kick out different types of potions, where, see, a woman has a certain type of estrogenic field that her behavior moderates the making of her estrogen. See, that's the thing. That's why your ancestors didn't go around acting all crazy and wanting to do what the men did. They did what women did, and they maintained that. Now, if the women of 10, 100 years ago were to come and look at the women doing what they do today, they'd be mortified. Riding bicycles, riding horses. Anytime you straddle anything, the delicate inner folds of the vaginal organ, all a woman has to do is just gently part her legs. Those things are exposed. That's just imagine your inside being out. Now here you have a woman who straddles a hard saddle on the back of a horse. That's why the Native Americans looked at the white women like they were out of their minds. What are they doing riding a horse? And you see the women, the women would be walking alongside the horse while the men would be riding. They say, oh, well, they got her walking, squaw can't walk. Well, squaw can't ride a bike. Squaw was smarter than you. That's why she maintained her femininity. As soon as you start putting any kind of weight or any kind of hard surface against something so soft and delicate, immediately you start electrical shocks to start to pick up in the uterus and inside the fallopian tubes, and you just disjoint, cause scar tissue and everything in that area. And all kind of complications come later on. Women don't know how to be women today. They're too busy learning how to be men. And that's the problem. See, we had to get sister. See, this sister has what is known as a gynic nature. I don't know if this is what she does all the time, but that dress is your savings grace, sister. The dress is the woman's clothing, not this. I know, and you could tell that hip-hop was actually the black male expression. Hip-hop was black male orchestrated, because you could tell that that's where all the balls went to the black movement. That's where all of the courage to say things went in the black movement. That's where all the men were still trying to act like men. That's where, when you all were disenfranchised, my generation, who did not pay enough attention to you, you went and started your own society. They call it gangs. You see, you don't need to be wearing pants, because your vagina is a breathing instrument, and as such, you're supposed to allow it to breathe. You say, well, it gets cold in the winter. Layer your skirts like your ancestors did. But you maintain a proper future for that tabernacle, your womb. Because if you do anything to damage that womb, you damage the next generation. And it comes out crazy. He said, well, Flojo was the greatest athlete, but she's dead! You can't act like a man without repercussions.
What do you say about the different contraception methods that they're actually introducing into the black communities that they're not introducing into the white
Beautiful.
communities? Right?
Beautiful.
Now all of a sudden you have, like, the black family is destroyed, where you don't have fathers spending time with their kids and all that stuff, which you touched up on earlier. And it's like, you know, we're not even having...
Well, Flojo was the greatest athlete, but she's dead! You can't act like a man without repercussions.
What do you say about the different contraception methods that they're actually introducing into the black communities that they're not introducing into the white
Beautiful.
communities? Right?
Beautiful.
Now all of a sudden you have, like, the black family is destroyed, where you don't have fathers spending time with their kids and all that stuff, which you touched up on earlier. And it's like, you know, we're not even having children as how we used to, because they're telling us that you don't need to, and it's expensive and this and that. But at the same way, they're having 9 and 10, as you said, you know.
It's funny, because over in France, they did a thing where in France, African women who lived in France were given all of the posters to stop having children. And if you go into the white parts of towns, they would tell you where all the fertility clinics were. Same thing over here. Brothers, you don't need a condom, and I know this is going to just shock all you sisters out there listening to this.
You just before you,
Yeah.
well, how does that affect the man and the woman putting on that condom?
Well, that's what we're going to get into. The condom is one of the most lethal weapons they put into the community to destroy you and your sister. And you say, oh, wow, oh, man. I know I got all my stuff in here, man. I can't go to the store without getting one cut, and let me have a pack of so-and-so. Well, that's essentially the scare that they put into you in the community, brothers and sisters. The condom, the latex, is an artificial piece of material that is created from the sap of a tree, and it has been the latex with the talc. You know what talc is?
Man.
The powder?
The powder.
Yeah.
The powder is carcinogenic. It causes cancer.
Yes. Cancer of the cervix.
Talc causes cancer of the cervix. It also prevents the vaginal area, right? I've had a series of women.
Children too, these women and
They
children.
put that's what I'm gonna say. Women use talc to powder themselves down. Women use talcum powder on the babies, and these are proven carcinogens. And carcinogens, I mean cancer causing. The carcinogenic part of talc was related in one of your biggest, like JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association, said that talc was found to cause cancer. And not only cancer, cervical cancer. It strips the lining. Causes what is known as a reaction inside the womb that causes the womb to mutate the cells in the womb to have to deal with the talc, because the talc caused the mutation. That's why women who have been dealing with so many of these condoms when they're having sex end up somewhere down the line always having some form of discharge or some kind of problem, especially when their cycle comes around. Stay away from that. The Most High has created all of the protective materials that come from both the man and the woman for that act. This act is forever. All of a sudden now it becomes dangerous It becomes dangerous now because you are a fertilized machine. You are a machine for putting out babies. You are a machine for putting out babies. There are, at the bottom end of the vaginal cavity, towards the area here, secretory sacs, so that when she becomes aroused, it begins to lubricate. And they're around the bottom and certain around the sides. When that happens, she has already secreted the antibodies for protection. As a matter of fact, when you ejaculate, the sperm that you ejaculate is considered by her body as an invading organism. So immediately it begins protecting itself. Now, you protect yourself, and this is the battle of life. This is what's so beautiful about it. The sperm has this coating. As you know, if sperm ever dropped on the floor, you notice it looks like it doesn't run. It just sits up there. The ones from healthy men, because unhealthy men have runny sperm. Healthy men have sperm to stand up. Why? Because it has an automatic sac, a film, that contains the sperm. It's automatic. As soon as it hits the air, it protects, it coagulates. And if you got serious sperm, and you really on it, it'll glow in the damn dark.
Wow.
It will. The scientific name for sperm is aura seminalis, because there's a glow around the bad boy. Just like there's a glow around the egg. So it isn't just the egg that's doing the fertilization. It isn't just the sperm. It's the light that they carry. Those are the original light bearers that they speak about. It brings about life. So you're already protected. If a woman should have a problem and you all go, oh man, I got this vaginal yeast. Oh, I got this herpes. All that is a sign of your filth in your body. Herpes is nothing to worry about. It's incurable. Bull. Herpes, if you were to take a herpes and you just go right to the herpes where it's opened up, and you run a very microscopic thread that could follow it, you will see it runs along a tube that was created by the body to get rid of waste. When the lymphatic system shuts down, the body opens up another area to get rid of waste where it couldn't use the other areas. So you had to be constipated. You had to be what is known as innervated, where you were having so much good sex, you didn't even know that you were damaging the area and weakening the area. When you weaken the area, you weaken the area so there's something called a thermal breakdown. This is for you sisters. If you're sexing too much, the area becomes fatigued, and you have what is known as a thermal breakdown. The thermal dynamics of the vagina is what keeps certain bacteria in check. If you wear out that particular dynamic, the bacteria proliferate because more waste accumulates in the weakened area. So more bacteria automatically accumulates there. It ain't like you caught anything. It's just that you overdid at that point. And you were weak to begin with. So you don't catch cold. You already have the conditions that activate a cleansing response. That's all it is. You shouldn't be panicking because you see a knot come up on the side of your genitals. And you start going down and popping all kind of pills. Yeah, it won't go anywhere if you keep taking them drugs. But if you secede and you become celibate for about a month, you cleanse your body of eating all that Mickey D hamburgers and all that crap, all the sugar, and all of the foods that turn, especially high protein foods, meat foods, that turn into pus, that have to be gotten rid of when you become so sexually enervated and you can't move your bowels properly, you can't urinate properly. That's what causes all that problem. And your doctors tell you, go ahead, use a condom. Use a condom. They got you believing. Use a condom. The condom industry is blown all the way up. It's like just, you can go to the corner and get a nickel bag. Get a condom. You can make money. You know how much money they've made on that latex crap? Now they tell you that there's other one. There's some other brothers in my community that say, use a condom. You don't need a condom. Well, getting pregnant. Your woman, if she is ital enough, if she is in tune and on the frequency, she'll know when she's getting fertile. See, women in Africa know when they're about to, go through their fertile times. They don't have to wait and worry and go to a doctor to find out for them what's going on with my body. Women are making billions of dollars collectively now. They don't know a damn thing about themselves. Nothing. They're bleeding to death. They're not supposed to be having the menstrual cycle in the first place. They're bleeding to death. They're hemorrhaging to death. And they wonder why menopause comes about. And it's sad because I had to pick up from where somebody passed the torch to me. And if you are really true about this and what you all are here to do and collectively did, when you start to find out as you grow older what this whole dynamic is and the frustration, and you have to pass that torch on to the next person, you probably get like me, an old battle-worn soldier. Coming into the fight, yeah, where they at? After you've been in the country for a while, they say, they over there. They'll be there. Just wait. We'll get to them. And that's how it's going to become. But we need soldiers like you all here. We need more sisters, too, to go back and start telling these sisters that they're following this dynamic called feminism and all the different ways that feminism have hidden themselves amongst you sisters in your conversation. See, feminism has inculcated your conversation, and you don't even know it. You can't even identify the type of speech that makes you part of that army, because they've already changed the dynamics through Oprah and through Lisa, and through all these tired-ass, front monkeys. You see? So I'm not here as a manist, because they're not feminists anymore, sisters. They're femalists now, for whatever that means. But I'm not here as a manist, chauvinist, or nothing like that. I'm here to put certain things back into order. If you take men out of their natural environment, which is to provide and protect, to explore, to innovate, to cultivate. If you take that away from a man, he gets frustrated and he starts taking it out on you. He sees you coming home with the wad now, and you're telling him what to do. That don't work that way. Your grandmother would tell you that don't work that way. And I'm saying that to all you sisters. If you're thinking, okay, you got a man, then that man don't need to be with you. You know who is there with you when he pays attention to you. You know who it is you are based upon who it is he shows you you are. Because a man gives love. A woman responds to it. Don't believe that you're the love giver. You don't know what love is until you've been impregnated. You don't even know what to be a mother is until the man makes you a mother. Understand that science. And you'll know I'm not being a chauvinist. And I don't care who turns who into a priest. I don't care if Farrakhan makes a woman the head of a mosque. I don't care if we have a woman pope. They do not change the internal dynamics of who your design structure is. Design denotes function. If I am made in the order of the masculine principle, then by law and by the dynamics of the universal creator, I'm going to act like a male. If you take my job, you have completely isolated me, and you've isolated yourself. Next question. Yes.
You said that women aren't supposed to have their menstrual cycles?
Yes. See, that's why we need more sisters here so you could understand the dynamics, so you could go back and tell the sisters. The menstrual cycle is a hemorrhaging. The ancestors, the ancient ancestors, the ones in the temples, used to call it the fake abortion. Because essentially, every symptom you have during the time that you're about to have your cycle is like having an abortion, or even giving birth. So, to the ancestors, the loss of your egg was an abortion, because you never lost your egg. That's why you never had menopause. You reabsorbed it. It was made from the essence that you were. You brought it right back into your essence. But when you bleed, any kind of blood, I ask sisters this, and this is for your tape. If you were to sit down, my sisters, on the toilet, moving your bowels, and you stood up and saw blood, would you think something was wrong? Right. If you woke up on your pillow and you looked at your nose and there was blood coming out from it, would you think something was wrong? Right. If you urinate and you see that in your urine you have blood, barring the fact that your period just came there at that point, I'm not talking about that, you know what I mean. You urinate and you pass blood, would you think something was wrong? Yes, you would. So how is it so right that every month you bleed for an average of 4 to 7 days? Think about that. Any form of loss of blood is traumatic to the body system. Any loss of blood. and to do it all your life, starting at such a young age as well. You being 9 years of age now, and 9-year-old girls are bleeding. It's madness. That shows that you have degenerated to such a state that even your children now have what is known as prepubescence. They're growing up so fast. Oh, they're growing up so fast. That's sick. That's sick. Children don't even have childhood anymore. My sister, you are bleeding to death. When you bleed, you do not make blood. Now listen to me, sisters. You do not make blood in some special part of your body to have your cycle. So that, okay, that's blood over there, so that we'll have it every month. No. You do not bleed to have a total systems cleaning. That's the crap the New Age is giving you. You bleed because you are weak, because your body is diseased, because over countless generations of trauma and abuse, your womb has now become the outlet of all of our pain and all of our suffering. The rapid rise in all these new forms of bacteria and different forms of diseases are just showing you the different versions of degeneration from generation to generation. That's what it is. And it's all coming from your womb because you are bleeding. Every time a woman begins to bleed in any generation, it signals the end of the cycle of that species. Because in the earliest of days, in the earliest of eons, women did not bleed. The odd one was the one who bled. That's why your ancestors went out into the woods, built huts, so that the woman who did happen to bleed would be put out there and put through specific types of rituals and regimens until she stopped and did not have her cycle again. And if she did have her cycle, those people who came over here, the Caucasians who came over here, documented that these women who they found in the Americas and Africa, only bled maybe 2 to 3 times, if that, a year. Now those women, when they started taking them into the slave ships off of West Africa, some of them were 200 and 300 years old. They didn't even know it. So your longevity is based upon how you take it. And how are you going to have a genius child when all of the blood, all of the lecithin, and all of the different types of nutrients that you lose every month? How, when you lose all that nutrients, when the internal lining of your womb is stripped every month, how are you going to have a healthy child? You can't. You can't. That is why we are in the insanity we are today. He knows who you are. That is why he is keeping you from your purpose, and that is to resurrect the species. If you fall in for this nonsense that's coming up to apologize so that we can let you do what you want to do, where are the Amazons today? They got to do everything they wanted to do. They no longer exist. They do exist today in the form of the Amazonian feminists who are trying to take over and change us into this socialist state, which essentially has no titles. In other words, the feminists said that they're going to destroy gender. They're going to destroy the titles that families have. In other words, there will be no more names like father, mother, daughter, son. There are going to be parental units and children, or kids, goats. Understand that you are being changed. The fact that the state now can come and take your child just from somebody next door telling them that they think that your child is abused. The last time they did that was in Nazi Germany. You think about that, sisters. And it's all because you don't want to stop. Sisters, if you stop everything today, you stop doing all your hair and all of this, do you know that your hair care system, the hair industry, the hair styling industry, is like $10 billion all around you? Imagine if you just locked up and said to hell with it. Could you imagine if you said, I ain't going to take care of nobody's white children no more for a while. I'm not buying from the store for the next 2 weeks to a month. I'm hunkering down and I'm eating grass. Sister, if you commit to that, we would have to get up. But right now, you're taking our job and saying it's all right for your man to be a woman. And if you don't understand what that means, you're thinking, well, he ain't did nothing. Well, understand what forces were against him at that time and what were working at that time. And until you're educated with your history, you're doomed to repeat it, sister. And you're about to repeat it. I'm speaking to you. So, and I'm talking to you brothers too. It's time you understand who the enemy is. Stop getting in bed with the enemy. Read ISIS papers. like Francis Cresswell said. You don't hate anybody, but you know who your enemy is, and you don't fraternize with the enemy. Not at this point. You do work with him, you do work with her. But until this war is over, until you understand what it is to be free, really free of this madness, then you can fraternize. Because then a treaty would have been written. Let's take it to the next,
I
brother.
have a question about circumcision. Benefits, detriments.
Okay, the feminists are out now fighting against circumcision, especially what they call female genital mutilation, FGM. A couple of the Steinem clones, Gloria Steinem's clones, went over to Africa to try to convince black women not to have the clitoris removed. Now, the clitoris is a male organ. A male organ. How come it's on a female? Well, that's the metaphysics of how degenerated we've become. The prepuce is a female principle. That's why in Africa and in different native tribes, you're born in King? Yeah. They took it off because the prepuce was an overextended vulva. So that's why they said you couldn't be a man until it was removed. In the woman, you couldn't be a woman until it was removed. Your male aspect was removed. Our science looked crude, but it was for a purpose. Our science looked crude, but it was for a purpose, because our ancestors understood that those things never existed before 100,000 years ago. There are women being born without clitorises. So if there's one anomaly in the whole bunch, then it ain't real. Just because it's normal to have a clitoris doesn't mean it's natural to have one. Big difference between normal and natural. The menstrual cycle is normal, but it's not natural. Big difference. So the circumcision, or quote unquote, the removing of the foreskin, the removing of the clitoris, was something that the ancestors thought that they had to do because they were desperate. They understood that after the great war of the Necharu, after the great cosmic cataclysm that changed the whole Edenic or Eden environment that kept everything in check, everything started happening. Everybody started turning gross. You don't even look the way humans used to look. Because look at your eyes. You look in my eye right now. Your eyes, you got too much white part. If the black part is the part that picks up light, why you got so much white? Because your eyes had to shrink in order to be able to deal with this death-dealing sun that we got out here now. So you have so much what is known as sclera. In the ancient ones, it was virtually all black. That's why the ancestors say you could not look into the face of your ancestors because you would go mad if you saw what they really looked like. You could look on the caves, on the tombs of the ancient Kemites, and you could see that their eyes went all the way back practically to the side of their heads. And they were all huge. That's how they looked. That means they could see more light. And when your sclera was that small, that means you could start picking up light the way the Dogon did. You could map the whole galaxy without needing no periscope. Hey, we got supposed to be the most advanced civilization on the planet, and we wearing glasses. We can't even see the stars. You think about that. Everything is about disease. This Caucasian is hooked up into disease. He loves to talk about disease. He is so diseased. Disease is the paramount thing he talks about. He is always dealing with disease.
That's what's saving him.
Yeah. Look at all Jerry Lewis. That is a pimp if I saw one. He is pimping people on that. You know, he got 4 children coming up there. Instead of telling you how to make the next generation healthy, he has built trillions of dollars of your tear money, of your mea culpa money. Or if I do this, I might get to heaven. And he's pimping you. He is one of the biggest pimps out there. And you think that, and get this, remember, what are telethons held for? Raise money for what, normally? Diseases. Okay, now check it. They got you down as a disease. United Negro College Fund? Since when? What is a United Negro, first of all? First. Second, how you get a college telethon? You get a telethon for black folks. You only get a telethon going if you want to raise money for sick things. Sick people. You don't get that yet. And they got all the clowns dancing and everything. You know, they got the circus going on. Send the money. And they got little old singing, you know, look at the poor people. And look, we done turned out another scientist. Or this man became a doctor. To do what? You ain't healed nobody. Ain't not one disease has ever been cured in the last 200 years that medical science has been running. Not one disease. And if they start talking that polio, you tell them bullshit. Not one disease. Matter of fact, we got at least 20 more added to the categories. And now they're cranking out doctors. They are now paying medical schools to stop cranking out doctors. Because it's a racket, just like lawyers. It's all a racket. You going to school, that school is going to make you stupid. And people who do go to school, and I'm saying this to you straight up because brothers, sisters, I've been there. Anybody who goes to school to get a PhD and then tells you to go to school, he's part of the machinery. He's the matrix. Understand that if you go into school and here you are people, you got brothers coming out with locks and saying, yeah, man, I know, playing the game was, yuck. But that tells you to go to school. Waste 4 to 10 years of your life in the same system they're telling you is baking your brain. How come you're not setting up your own structures of study like this? Why is it that you need to take a test in order to get accreditation so that you could get a JOB? That's all that is. What is the nickname for that diploma?
Degree.
Yeah.
Skin. Sheepskin.
Sheepskin. Now, why would they call it a sheepskin? Not only do they pull the wool over your eyes, but you become an honorary sheep. You join the flock to be fleeced and slaughtered when they need you to be slaughtered. Brothers and sisters, you don't learn nothing in no university. You only learn how to acclimate and become part of the system that keeps you oppressed. Just because you're making some more money and you see them dumb Negroes in ebony looking like they this and they're Air Force chief. What they done for us? What they done for the mass population except learn how to keep you in check?
True facts.
So you have to understand that the true university is not on this planet. It's beaming in from the stars. All of the specific signs of the zodiac you see are universities in themselves. They themselves can teach you anything you want to know about the planet, about life, creation. You don't need to be going to no school to learn that. You are the school. And you will find that out. You can go study for yourself like I did. I dropped out because I was getting stupid there. And I got out with a 4.0. I said, you're making me dumb. You're making me stupid. And they were begging me, please come back. You're doing so well. Yeah, I'm doing so well. I'm very well trained, Slade. I know how to be well trained. I can lockstep when you want me to. I can crank out the information. I can get tested and regurgitate the crap you want me to so I can get my piece of paper, hang it on the wall, and just fleece the people who come to me. I'm going to say this to you brothers and sisters out there. If you go to a doctor and he or she look worse than you, run. What's the sense of going to somebody who look worse than you? Doctors, they said, and they took a test. They took a what do you call these things that they go out there and they take a census or what's that? No, poll. Took a poll and did a whole test and a research and found out that the average age a doctor lives to is 58.
What? That's half of them smoke.
50, smoke, drink, pop pills, coke.
Have big guts.
Matter of fact, let me tell you this. When you're in medical school, that's when they get you. Because they got you up 12 hours a day studying. Just in the first part of medical school. You got to, first of all, the first thing you got to do, yeah, you got to be on drugs to stay up there. That's why they come out smoking and taking popping ups. You got to memorize an inventory of 1,200 dead letter names in their books for different pharmaceutical drugs.
You gotta speak that language.
Yeah, there you go. You got to learn how to speak like them. If you don't, you can't pass the first stage. So when they talk about the hicka-blacka-dibba and the blinka-dappa, they don't say nothing. You got to learn the metaphysics of who you are. Once you know yourself, know thyself, Heal thyself. Yes, brother.
I want to touch upon the army and their whole idea of going into like the black communities and telling them that, look, especially the brothers, that will give you $40,000 to go to the school that you're talking about if you come and fight for us, and then they send you over to our mother nation to go over there and kill those people off. I mean, what do you think about that?
Then they kicked their ass over there in Somalia. When they came in there trying to do all this rescue thing, and rescue, they went in there trying to take out that so-called warlord.
But do you think it's a part of their plan when they wouldn't, initially they wouldn't even let us in their military, and now if you look at the military, it's
well,
black
you can
people.
see that. That's a rhetorical question. What you're looking at essentially is you take away all opportunities to change the society from within the society. So what they do is they tell you that your job, J-O-B, and they will take care of you if you give your body up in service of the beast. So you go in, you get your military training, you learn to be a man in there because they got all the things for you to do. You learn how to kill, you learn how to do certain things, you learn how to put together machinery, they train you. But when you're called for, they'll send your ass to Bosnia and get killed. If you survive, we'll give you a little pension when you come out. They don't care. It's all about getting you off the streets so that you are not truly learning what to do to change the infrastructure. But you can't change the infrastructure unless you have a community of brothers and sisters who can be self-sufficient within that community and have the infrastructure, the manufacturing base. But when you're called for, they'll send your ass to Bosnia and get killed. If you survive, we'll give you a little pension when you come out. They don't care. It's all about getting you off the streets so that you are not truly learning what to do to change the infrastructure. But you can't change the infrastructure unless you have a community of brothers and sisters who can be self-sufficient within that community and have the infrastructure, the manufacturing base for trade, for creating materials, raw materials, using raw. You don't own nothing. How could you actually raise yourself if you own nothing? You don't own your land. You don't have nothing. So everything you're getting based on tokens. So you can tell that the females today are actually the new Aunt Jemimas of the 21st century because they don't own anything. They're being given these things in order to maintain a level. The women will now constitute the ceiling because if she's the one with the money, she ain't going to give it to you for revolution. You think about that.
You get it here done.
You will not get money for a revolution for a woman because she is basically afraid for you and herself. And now she's turned us the same way. We're afraid for everything. Brothers used to say, well, how you walking down the street? How you going out there? I said, I'm walking amongst my brothers. Well, man, you know, I said, I ain't worried about none of my young brothers coming up on me or rolling up on me because, first of all, I don't look like no prey. I've walked through some of the most hostile places. Talk to the brothers on the corner that they say were going to off me. That's what they did. They ostracized the generation that punked up after they took out Malcolm. And now the princes that are running amongst them, the tigers that Marcus talked about, making them think. I was finding out that all y'all wanted to talk. Y'all wanted to say things. Y'all had some smarts that just was not even coming through on the media. All they got you on was the perp walk. And that's why I'm here. We got to get out of that. That's my generation. I'm just pissed off with some of the ballless men that are out there. They only got a few of them that still got their balls attached. But the rest of them walking around are eunuchs.
Who are the Dogon people you were speaking about earlier?
The Dogon were the offshoot of a race of people who had they had observatories, they had intergalactic communication with peoples from other worlds. And when the Caucasoid started moving south over Africa, and when the great traumas and changes in the landmass, the people began looking like they were just people, dirt farmers. When the white man came to Africa and saw people just living in huts or living very simply, he did not realize that those people had reached a level of perfection where they didn't need technology. They were the technology. Mm. That level of achievement on this time frame with the coming of the Caucasoid signaled the death of the paradigm, because these people were not about to fight the disease that was coming from Europe, essentially. So it looked like they were just taking over, but they kept the inner societies. The people like the Dogon were the ones that stayed behind, while others made the jump into the next quote-unquote dimensional space. Just like the Mayans. The true Mayans were only given the job and the task to just build temples and leave the temples for those who were supposed to be left behind. Most of them just left and jumped to light speed. They were finding out the Mayans had things like brain surgery going on. Well, the brain surgery was to snip the implant that the reptiles had put in. See, I'm getting into another thing. And they bypassed it and just left. You have the ability to go into other dimensions. Get the books by Carlos Castaneda.
Yeah, he got a lot of them, man.
Yeah, but just get the first 4.
What were they?
The first 4. I'll give you the names. First book is Ayaki Way of Knowledge, right? A-Q-U-I. Yaki Way of Knowledge. Second one is called A Separate Reality. The third one is called Journey to Ixtlan. I-X-T-H-L-A-N. And the fourth one is called Tales of Power. Now they have a series of them, about 8 or 10 more. But just those 4 will get you introduced into the realm of what is known as sorcery. But it's not sorcery where you see Merlin. It's not a nonsense. You will get, I mean, if you really want to deal with science and serious mathematics, tap into those books. They'll have you like forgetting the rest of the world. You'll be looking at the world like, oh man, oh yeah, I know what that one is. And if you really want to get deeper into the higher sciences of dealing how thought works, get the books by my teacher. His name is Krishnamurti. K-R-I-S-H-M-U-R-T-I. He has about 10 books. My favorite is called The Awakening of Intelligence. I'm giving you enough to read for the next year or 2. It'll keep you all busy and it'll put you on the right track. Anything after that, you'll be able to decipher.
How do you spell that first? Kala? How do you spell that first software you gave us?
Carlos.
Carlos?
Carlos, yes. Carlos Castaneda. C-A-S-T-A-N-E-D-A.
And you can get, where can you get these at?
At Barnes & Noble. Look in the metaphysical sections.
New Age.
Yeah, New Age sections and stuff like that.
He's not first so. You see a lot of them.
That's a question.
It's what's called Turn and all the outshoots in the areas. Essentially, that's what they've done. They've just taken all of the way we looked at the world and the way the world saw us when we reflected it back to ourselves, and then everything that the Most High gave us in conversation, they took it now and they're selling it back to you at 1,000 a clip. Okay. So what they've done, essentially, those people who are pushing herbs to you now, these doctors, those are the ones who are the so-called medical heretics who are going out to push herbs on you just like they're pushing drugs. And herbs are drugs. You shouldn't be taking them because I want to sip tea and I want to... These things will do... Anything that you take a herb for will cause the thing you took it for if you take it long enough.
So it'll be the goal, you know what I'm saying?
The goal?
You know what I'm saying? You get the work down, of course, so after herbs.
After herbs?
Yeah,
nothing. Juices. Fresh fruits. Get your nutrients from your food. If y'all want to deal with getting any kind of supplementation, and y'all really want to deal with that, there's something called the blue-green algae, seaweeds, things like that. And if you want to deal with the blue-green algae, don't buy it off the shelves. Get it directly from the place they make it, and you don't have to get it for the retail price. I'll give it to you so you can get it for the wholesale price. It's expensive for what it is that's kicking out there, but because they don't have any middlemen, they don't have to deal with certain regulations, and they deal with you giving you the potent stuff. The name of the place is called Celtec, C-E-L-L, and then the next word T-E-C-H. And the number there is simple, 1-800-800-1300. 1-800-800-1300. Now, if y'all are serious and y'all want to really do that, take down my account number, the one I use. 122-42-8413. And when you're asking them, you want to just get the simple one, the alpha and omega. These are two different strains of blue-green algae. And if you want, you could use the other things, something called spectrabiotics and coenzyme if you want to do those. Those are optional. If you want to deal with the blue-green algae, you open it up, take small bits of it at a time. You can also use wheatgrass, fresh wheatgrass juice, small amounts. That can be watered down as well. Okay, you can sip on that. Yes, sir.
Were you gonna say another book? You said The Awakening of Intelligence.
Well, if you ask for Krishnamurti, they'll show you the whole stock.
All right.
And you know what? Sometimes when you go buying a book, the book is not really what it is I'm recommending to you. It's what it makes you feel like when you pick it up. Because words vibrate. Because words vibrate. Even though they're written down, they have a metaphysical tingle to them. If you're tuned in on the frequency, you can open up a book and just scan them, and you could feel that these words, just a few words you read, are yours, and the book will be yours. You'll meld at that point. All right? So as you're reading, maybe you're not ready for certain books, but the book will tell you if it's ready for you. Okay? You have to flip the switch, the script, I mean. Don't die on me yet, y'all. Customer doing this for 6-8 hours. See what I was telling you about
take a break?
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask you. We take a 10-minute break.
For sleep. Alright?
What was that? Yeah, the omega?
The omega part.
Feeds the brain so you don't need to sleep.
Feeds the brain through the blood-brain barrier. Got nothing to do with it. You gotta go, this goes back to the Crusades. The people in Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, what they call the Slavs, that's where the word slaves came from. Because they were like the white trash of Europe. They were the underclass. They were the scum of Europe that was pushed to that area, the Balkan, the coldest, most godforsaken area, Caucasus Mountains, essentially where everybody came from. The Arabs moved up. Through, I think, what was the name of the Arab leader who invaded through that area?
Where, in Italy?
No, not through Italy. Through, well, they didn't come through Italy. They came up through the south part Mediterranean.
Not Hannibal?
Wow. My history escapes me. But the Arabs brought Mohammedanism and Islam up through that area. For a while, they were under the Ottoman Empire. And the emperor of the Ottoman Empire ruled that area. What you're looking at is the Christians driving the Muslims out. That's all. The Seventh Crusade was for the selling of those white Slavs to the Arabs. What you have is this dynamic. This guy, Slobodan, he knows what his history is. And he wants them out. Because most of the land that the Albanians got were gotten by conquest, and that's what they're not telling you. That's where that's at. Now, they're going to get us to go over there because they want you young people who would end up being the defenders of the United States over there fighting some dumb war over there when they're going to be doing the war over here. Remember, they got foreign troops on your soil. They got troops from different countries here that's going to act as United States troops. And remember, the new troops, the ones where they come in to get you, they don't have no insignias. They're dressed like Gestapos. And if you look at the helmet, you look at all the helmets they wear now. It's the same. You don't know your World War II history. They're wearing the Nazi helmets. Look at Desert Storm. Look at the Nazi helmets that they were wearing in Desert Storm. You look at the uniform of the New American, and it's the exact same one the Germans are wearing.
Yes. So what was why did they call it the World War? And 'cause I know like a lot of new things, like computers started coming out during that time. A lot of new technology came out during that time. Does it have anything to do with the World War?
All wars are fought between secret societies.
Crusade.
Secret societies. There's no war for freedom and all that crap. That's just to get the sheep involved. They brought Japan into the war by bombing their harbors, by stealing their oil, forcing Japan to have to make a move. They knew Pearl Harbor was coming. They needed you all to get into the fight. So what better way to set you up than to say you were attacked cold and viciously? These bastards are all the same. 85 to 90% of all the presidents that came before Clinton were related. So where was this election process? George Washington was the cousin of the Queen of England. Where is your freedom? The United States was set up by the Illuminati, the Colombian version of the Illuminati, to act as the third right. There was two rights: the right of the church, the right of the monarchy. Third right was that right that was set up. You know, third right, whole thing. The United States was set up to destroy all the monarchies of the world. Any monarchies left? Except to just picture show? That's what the whole deal was, to destroy the monarchies of the world and to consolidate the power under a commercial base, the Illuminati. The Illuminati, essentially, from Adam Weishaupt, you got the dollar bill,
Yeah.
you got a $5 bill, I'll show you. On the $5 bill, if you got a nice crispy one, you look inside of Lincoln's beard and you see the word sex written in it. If you're looking at the $1 bill, you have to look very carefully. Get a magnifying glass, and it has to be a $5 bill, and you have to look at the side of Lincoln's beard, and you will see it interwoven into the way his beard is set up with sex. Because at that time, $5 would get you sex. Essentially.
$20 bill with the...
That's why they call it $5 a pound.
Yeah. You see the Ku Klux Klan with the $20 bill in the back? You seen that?
Yes.
Then
Yeah,
hoods,
the hoods for the Klan.
Ku Klux Klan in the back of the $20 bill.
$20 bill. But did you see on the $1 bill, which hasn't changed, the $1 bill was the symbol for the Illuminati, because now supposedly in Moorish science there are two different seals. That's the dollar bill is the only currency that has two seals on it. The seal of the nation itself, and then the seal of the Illuminati, which is the seal of the Illuminati, and then the seal of the Moorish science. Okay? On the front you will notice, oh, that's the back. On the back, yeah, on the front you will notice up in the corner, you have to look very carefully, in the corner,
It's an owl.
there's an owl in there, which is, what do you call it, but it's inside of a shield. You're not looking at the shield.
Oh, I see.
It's the shield of the Rothschilds.
Yeah.
And the other shield of the Rothschild that you're looking at is the Chrysler symbol. The four-sided, what do you call it? The star in the middle? Same thing. Now, if you look at it, you'll see that off in the right-hand corner. That's a shield. You see the other one ain't the same. It's not balanced. It's two different ones. The right side is the shield. This is not George Washington. This, brothers and sisters, is Adam Weishaupt. This is the man who started the Illuminati. 1776 was the time when they tell you in Urte Coeptus, you know, our endeavors were crowned with success.
May 1st.
Right. May 1st is May Day. That's when they do all their assassinations, all of their the things that they're going to fix on Wall Street. That's why you have to prepare for the crush. Yeah.
Russia, the war.
The war.
Something like
Yeah,
that.
when they destroyed the monarchy over there, and they killed the Tsar. looking at the eagle, you'll notice that that's the symbol of Heru. They made it with the eagle. But if you go into any of your ancient Egyptian texts and you look at the so-called hieroglyphics and symbols, you will see this very symbol of Heru. But in his two talons, he's holding ox. In this one, you see him holding what they say is what?
Acacia, the piece, olive, or
olive branch. And what's the other one? Arrows. Peace and war. War and peace. But that was not olives. That used to be hemp. Because George Washington was a reefer smoker and he grew hemp. But at that time, remember, hemp was for beneficent purposes. The word hemp, the Latin word for hemp is cannabis sativa. Anytime you see the word sativa behind any plant, it means helper. It means helper, savior. The cannabis sativa was used to make clothing. It was used by the Chinese to create paper. It was made to make shoes. It was made to make shoes. It's a source of what is known as gasohol, because you could create gasoline. You could create a car that could go for years on just a tank of gas. All of these things, the marijuana was actually turned, the name marijuana came from William Randolph Hearst. Now you heard about Patty Hearst, his granddaughter, the one who was supposedly dealt with the Symbionese Liberation Army, and they made a big movie about her. She went robbing banks and stuff like that. Just learn about your history. But her grandfather, William Randolph Hearst, bought up all of the forests in what was now had to be turned into parkland. He, with the new trees, since everybody was making paper out of hemp, he had to go into competitions with this hemp making. So he demonized hemp and called it marijuana. It was never called marijuana. He took the name out of the song La Cucaracha. There it is. And he called it the demon weed. It was going to make, and even made a stupid movie called Reefer Madness, which was a comedy, man. You know, I remember getting high, just dying laughing. But the idea was that you're looking at 13 stars, which is of the Jewish star. You're looking at it. You're looking at exactly. You're looking at 33 feathers on one side and 32 feathers on the other, which is the sign of the highest symbol of the Illuminati. And that's how you ascend in there. As by the way, when you become a master mason, if you want your 33rd degree, you have to give head to the master mason. What? Thought you'd like that.
That's funny.
At this point here, where you see the eagle, this was the double eagle. Now you notice that the crisis that's happening overseas in Kosovo, their symbol was what? The black double eagle. And when they show you the sign of the black double eagle, it's now torn in half.
Was on a shield or something?
Right, it's on a shield, and it's it's a black eagle, the same thing the Nazis used, remember?
Yeah.
Every warlike country used the eagle from Rome. Remember, the United States is just Rome warmed over. All right? They told you, your brother told you in it, what you're dealing with Roman calendar. Well, the Romans had the eagle, the Nazis had the eagle, the South Africans had the eagle, the United States had the eagle. And the Illuminati has the double eagle, which is the sign of them owning the East and the West. But you notice now that when they show you the symbol, they show you the one facing west is torn out. Which means there's a severance in a tie going on. All right? And they're making a move to capture that area. The reason why they want the area is because of the silver. That area of the world has the greatest deposits of silver ready for use. Kosovo and all around that area, Yugoslavia and all that area. All right? Let me see what else they got here to engage with you.
Could you drop the Moorish signs?
Yeah, I'm going to get to that other part there. Where on the bricks you have the 72 bricks, 12 layers, the 13th one, which is the eye of the Heru. The 72 is the name and number of God. There are 316. There are 216 letters to the name of God. And the Tetragrammaton is what actually breaks down that name. It's actually a hymn that's sung, supposedly the Jewish Yom Kippur, which is nonsense. That was our high holy day that they took out of Chem. They weren't really in there anyway, but they took out a lot of the materials they stole and tried to decipher was based upon us singing the name of God, which is essentially 216 when numbered together creates 9. And that 9 essentially was the breaking down of the 9 harmonic levels to create a cycle, which after you have sung it, puts you into a framework where you begin to hear peoples on other dimensions speaking to you. Okay? I'm getting ready to get heavy here. If you're ready to go, let's do it. The 12 steps, at one point they told you that the 12 steps that were here, going up, this is supposed to be Philip Rothschild. He's supposed to have been the big time cheese of the Illuminati. Philip Rothschild and all the 12 under him signify the 12 members of the Council of 12, who are the ones running the planet. There's now a council of 7 men running this planet. Okay? All along the bottom and all along what this is about, this is why the Illuminati, at the end of the year, the beginning of next year, will be having a party at the pyramid. Because the pyramid, essentially, is where they know, they understand that our power came from. This is where they understand that when you build the masses and have them focused in a certain way, when you have them layered in their behaviorisms, you create the pyramid to your own power. And that's what they've done. Through education, or miseducation and diseducation, they have layered your consciousness so that you will play the bottom brick, you will play the one beside him, you may play the one above him, but you all are going no further than the support system they have deemed you to become. To their particular, our Anuatos Coeptus is our endeavor was crowned in success. That's what that means. And there are there are 13 letters in that, in Anuatos Coeptus, as well as Anubis ad Odosoplorum. There's 13 letters in there as well.
That doesn't mean, does that also mean God has favored us?
Our endeavors have been favored with success, have been crowned with success. God has favored us. There are what are called vernaculars in Latin that can be used. But they understand what that means. They know what it means. Yes?
That little eye. I was always curious about that eye.
The eye of Heru.
At the last pyramid looking down upon us. Is there any...
Well, it was taken from out of Chem, the eye of Heru. The one you see that looks like that, with the, you call it, that's the eye of Heru. But in this case, they state that it's the central eye, the pineal gland, what I call the first eye, what I call the third eye. It's actually the first eye. This is the Cyclops that they speak about in myth and fables. This supposedly is the eye representing the satanic order of the Illuminati, with like Zabrigny Brzezinski and what's the name of this guy? This other devil.
You see, he talks like this, and he talks like this to you, and he talks like this.
No, not Yeltsin. Yeltsin can't even stand up.
Silence, I'll say that. Back in the day.
You got big glasses.
Not Kissinger.
Kissinger. Yeah. That's a beast if ever there was. Matter of fact, you get the tape. If you all coming in Sunday, ask for the tape on the mathematics of the beast, and you'll see that Kissinger's name comes up to 666. Take me there, y'all.
Pope John Paul.
Pope John Paul.
Give me a rundown on the...
Pope John Paul, pedophile, ex-Nazi.
He's a Pope now? That's the guy that's a Pope now?
Yeah. Pedophile. They banished him to Poland because they used him to destroy the Poland economy. He was banished to... he was working for I.G. Farben, the ones who made the gas, for the gas chambers.
Oh yeah?
Oh yeah, he was the man who did it. Matter of fact, Prescott Bush was the Nazis' bankers. He did the banking in the United States for the Nazis. The Pope went over to the Nazis and said, if you turn everybody in Germany Catholic, we'll support you. So that's who you're dealing with. Pope means door. Cardinal means hinge. So essentially, that's what the Pope was. He was like the doorway to the inner sanctum. And if you understood what was happening with the Pope himself, the Pope essentially is a long line of these Jewish leaders. And he's dealing with Illuminati tips, age of Pisces. You're going to see him change his top now, his hat, from the fish to the cup soon. And the Pope before him, they assassinated him. They gave him sodium morphate, heart attacked him, so that they could actually maneuver him because of his Polish background and because he used to work with the Nazis. Matter of fact, Hitler just died a few years ago.
Hitler? I was thinking about that too.
They buried him in South America somewhere. He got a big... Hitler got plastic surgery. And he looked just like a Jew. Got out of Dodge and went to Antarctica for a while. And then from Antarctica went into the Vatican to stay, where he learned to become a priest. Learned the Mass, and then went down to South America and took on the visage of a poor, a vow of poverty. And he had all the treasures that they had stolen. They found it in the back of this place. But this old man, who was supposed to have been just a priest that just did a little Mass in a dirty old church to some peons, had some of the greatest dignitaries on the planet coming to visit him. Because those who knew him came down to pay homage and keep money, and he would tell them what had to be done. The Nazis, who were airlifted and taken out of Germany before it crashed, was taken over here into the United States under a CIA operation called Operation Paperclip. They took all the scientists, and they took all of the
Einstein was one.
yeah, and they took all of the rocket scientists, and the Nazi that was part of the rocket science founded NASA. That's what NASA was about. It was Nazi, actually. They were playing games with you. And what happened after they did all that, the same secret service that was set up in Germany, they founded the CIA.
Heard of those? Bush? When did Bush come in the CIA? Was it after?
Well, Bush came in because of his legacy with the Nazis. He was brought in as a legacy of the Nazis. And Bush himself, he did a ritual so that he could assume that role. He was pushing drugs because him and Saddam had a thing going where Saddam would process the drugs in the Zabata oil rigs offshore. But Bush did a ritual with Geronimo's bones.
Yeah.
He dug up Geronimo's bones and slept with them, and that's what gave him his initiation into the Skull and Bones Society.
Sure.
And Prescott Bush was the man who set up the banking system for the Nazis here in the United States, and set it up so that some of the criminals could actually come into South America. Adolf Eichmann had... South Americans liked the Nazis because the North Americans weren't giving anything to the South Americans. The Nazis were building up whole cities down in South America, so they found a home down there. But they also found a home under the ice in the Antarctic. And remember when they sent down somebody into the Antarctic to go and explore the Antarctic? I don't know who the name of this guy was. Why would they need to send 2 destroyers, an aircraft carrier, a frigate, and seaplanes, warplanes, seaplanes, to go and explore the Antarctic? Because that's where they found out the German base was. Needless to say, the Germans kicked their behinds because the Germans had saucer technology.
Where they learned all this? How come they were so hyped in the technology?
Because they were chosen, they're the ones who had a lot of the downed ships. A lot of the downed ships from intergalactic interconnecting and so forth was through them. The same way the Japanese took the source of technology and did the miniaturization of miniature technology that you're using as your cell phone and your Walkman and everything now. That all came from down source of crafts. And you have to remember there are two different sciences that you're being taught, brothers and sisters. One science is just to keep you doing stupid crap inside a little laboratory so you could see bubbles go up. Then there is an initiation process into an inner sanctum of scientists that deal with anti-gravity, deal with extraterrestrial intercontinental contact, planetary travel, like they have colonies on Mars and the Moon right now. This is the Jason Society. Those are the ones who know the real deal. The science you practice ain't nothing but keeping you here inside the framework. So there are two different types of sciences being practiced, just like there's two different types of religion. The Pope will give you Catholicism, which is really stupidity. You're walking around doing all kinds of Masonic things. That's why they call the Mass is after a Mason ritual. The same ritual you see them walking up, doing all. It's Masonic. It's a ripoff. The 12, the Stations of the Cross is essentially what the neophyte goes through to deal with his resurrection from out of the dead. Who you are, who we are, supposedly. But they asked me to go and teach inside of a lodge, so I don't know how dead I was. But the deal is that all of what you're seeing, there's two sides to everything. That's what the double eagle is about. That's why they show you the double cross, which is, I don't know if you've ever seen this particular symbol. You saw that? You know that symbol? The double cross? The double cross is essentially what they deal with. The Pope carries it. The double cross is exactly what they're telling you. It's a double cross. That's why they're telling you. And now where else you saw it? All right? The symbols are all over the place. Excellent. Also, you see other symbols of the Illuminati in the big red circles. What gas oil company has big red circle on it? Texaco. Mobil. Texaco is something else. That Texaco itself, T-E, I forgot what that Illuminati is, X-A-C-O. The symbol for that is an Illuminati symbol as well. I'm trying to remember what it was. But all around, remember, all companies are the seven sisters. They're dealing with the seven solar systems that's out there. Andromeda, Cassiopeia, all the different star systems that are out there. They named them the Seven Sisters after the seven oil companies that were put out there. Some of them derivatives, British Petroleum, all of these others are all offshoots. Queen is the biggest landowner in the world. You pay your rent, you pay it to the Queen of England.
I have a question. What's with all the international space stations that they're building up in space?
Good point. Jump-off points. Remember, the Nazis kicked their behind on the moon and told them they couldn't come back. There was a war on the moon. And when they went up there to give you this fanfare, one step for man, it's all crap. The guys who were up there said, okay, you stay over there, don't come over here. When they landed on the moon, before the pictures came back, they were met by a constituency of people that say, stay your ass from over on the dark side of the moon.
That's why we technically haven't gone back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you wonder why we haven't gone back? What happened to all the moon shots we need to be going back up there? All we got is these little challenges, this and so forth. Why? Because it's all military.
Well, CIA, Bush was head of CIA when Kennedy got assassinated. Mm-hmm. And I heard Kennedy was dropping down some certain things about presidents coming and abusing the office, of commander-in-chief and all that stuff. What do you think? Does the CIA have anything to do with getting rid of him?
Yeah, well, it was all one.
Even Bullsworth kind of reminds me of Kennedy. Mm-hmm. He was partying, having sex with all these women. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but you got to remember, Kennedy was about to spill the beans on extraterrestrial contact. That's one. Two, we had $1 again, look. You read the top of your $1, and it says what? Very top.
Federal.
Very top.
Federal Reserve note.
Federal Reserve note. This is not a dollar. It is a note. It's a promise to pay something. That is why you are taxed the way you are. Because you're getting, whenever you get something for this, for giving somebody this, you're getting something for nothing. On the original dollars, you used to have paid to the bearer or silver certificate. All right? That meant that you got $1 worth because somebody worked $1 worth to get $1 worth of gold out of the ground to make this changeable for $1. When they took your gold away from you, when Roosevelt sold you out to the bankers for $5 million in gold, $5 billion in gold, took you and said, okay, you have to have a Social Security number now because the only way you're going to pay the bankers back is through a taxation system that we're going to levy during the war and never lift. So now you are paying so that you haven't even, for the international bankers, you have not even paid back. Check this out. You have not even paid back the interest. You haven't even scratched the interest on everything that you owe the international bankers. That is why they first of all took your gold, and then Nixon took your silver. Because he legislated the fact he took silver off of the dollar as well. Now they went and got your home because you had to mortgage your home to be worth anything. Now they done got your home, the only thing they could actually take as mortgage is you. That is why during the time when you see these cops out here, revenue, you need to raise revenue, they'll stop you for anything because you don't own your car. You have a Social Security, your property. You're a slave. It means they can stop you, frisk you, do whatever they want to do with you. If you get busted and they say, well, you don't have the proper this, you got to go to jail, the state gets a kickback from having your body in an empty cell because the cell can't make the state money unless someone is in it. So if they have you in there for 24 hours, they submit a dossier to the federal government and get a certain amount of money back. So that's what you're worth now. Because they wouldn't just give you a desk appearance ticket anymore. They'll have to arrest you to raise the proper revenue because your money isn't worth anything to you. You see, because it's not real money. And they know it. That's why you can look at the new dollars. You can see it's monopoly money. It's garbage.
There was somebody on the radio last night speaking about how that isn't worth nothing. And that they're trying to go back to gold and silver.
Yeah.
It's just a piece of paper.
Oh yeah, this is the game. See, that's what I'm saying. See, there's so much I got to tell you, beloved. You know, the war has been so long with me, it's going to take at least 2 or 3 nights of me just dropping the science of what's happening just in the country alone. And the people that I saw, the white boys that introduced me into the war that was going on the cover, told me about what was going on in there, and I was the one telling y'all stuff that was happening long before it happened. And so if it didn't happen for 5 years, you thought I was crazy because it didn't happen. And then 5 years later, it happened. When Clinton was told, when Clinton came in, the second year in office, we told him Clinton was going to be impeached. He got reelected. Oh man, these guys crazy. Boom! They impeached his behind. We told him that he had 158 bodies attached to his name. We told you that he assassinated Ron Brown. We told everybody to hold it. We told him it was him and his boys who brought down that bomb in Oklahoma. We told everybody the whole night. Nobody cared. Nobody cared. That's one of the, he's one of the, oh man, that's one of the most evil men, that's one of the most evil men on the planet. He is the beast. If he ain't the beast, he's one going to introduce you to the beast. And the real beast supposedly is Gore. The one who acts like the buffoon. Yeah, because they said that he was the one who got cloned from the genes that they found of the Romanovs, the ones who got destroyed in Russia. Who's the one talking about Russia here just a second ago? Remember when they destroyed the Russian aristocracy, the Romanovs, during the Bolshevik Revolution, and they killed the Tsar? Well, the Romanovs were the ones that were supposedly killed off. They supposedly found a body, which I don't believe they actually got killed. I believe they were spirited out somehow because they were friends. The Romanovs are cousins to the Queen of England. Right, okay. So they got out, and supposedly he was cloned. Now remember, they told you that the son of, the devil, the one who's the son of Satan, who's going to come back to bring in the apocalypse, was going to be born in a cemetery, right? I mean, all of the different things. I mean, that's another thing. I'm just going to take a time. I'm just going to do gore. But just to give you a tidbit, don't nobody know who Gore's father is. Don't even, and if they pretend they know who he is, they're bull. They're giving you that in front. His mother, don't nobody know who she was either. She was just a wayfarer, a worker, just like Clinton's mother. Clinton's mother was a nurse, essentially, and she supposedly had sex with the sheriff or one of the sheriffs, and she was having an affair with one of the lieutenant governors who was a Rockefeller. And that's who Clinton is. Clinton is a Rockefeller.
That's where you got that money.
Yeah, he got big jack.
Funded.
Oh, big fund. And where was I at? Oh, they said that Gore was born in Arlington, Virginia. Where you heard that word before?
Cemetery.
Exactly. And I got the whole list. I mean, I hadn't done that in like 5 years, but I got the whole list on Gore and how he's supposed to match up to be the beast in Apocalypse in the Revelation. It's deep too. It's fun. Y'all don't like it.
Did you? You said that Kennedy was going to spill the beans for the
on the extraterrestrials, and he was going to change the money back to silver certificates. Matter of fact, he had printed up something like $325 million in silver-backed certificates, which would have gotten rid of the Federal Reserve, which are the 5 families: Rockefeller, the Schiffs, the Carnegies, and whoever the rest of these. The 5 families that own Rothschild. That's the one, and that's who your boy is. He's a Rothschild.
Who's that? Gore?
No, who's the boy at the head of the Federal Reserve?
Oh,
Greenspan.
yeah.
Greenspan is a Rothschild, and so is Barbara Bush. She's a Rothschild.
That's right.
And so then like who's this guy? Because I know you talk about before this guy being a clone to Reagan.
Yeah, Reagan was.
When he come in.
Well, he came in. Well, he's an old faggot from back in movie days.
Yeah.
And they found him up there messing around with his chauffeur. That's why his first wife left him. But Nancy didn't care. She was about the business of just hooking up. But he himself was down with the whole circle of the Bush. Remember, Bush's brother was bought out by, let me tell you, let me just give you a little piece of the story, how this came about. Bush's brother was bought by Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes set a plan in motion to buy the United States government. And he was doing it. He was funding all the campaigns and setting up all the people, funding them to win all the elections, until at least 2/3 or a third at least of Washington down there was run by Howard Hughes. Now there was another billionaire, Shipper, who made all his money as an Illuminati, serving both sides, the Nazis, the Americans, the Japanese, whoever would buy from him. His name was Onassis.
Yeah.
Okay? Now Onassis,
He had oil and all stuff.
well no, he just runs ships. He had ships.
Yeah, he married
Hey, listen, don't get ahead of the story. Don't get ahead of the story now. Don't get ahead of the story. It gets good. Onassis had a business relationship with Joe Kennedy.
Yeah.
Joe Kennedy had all the trucks. He had all of the unions, and he had bought up all the trucks, and he was the one running moonshine and liquor from up through Canada down through the United States in distribution. Onassis made a deal. You run my rum up and down here. One day I'll make one of your sons president. He said, okay, bet. Let's go. Now, they done blew up so big that for every bottle of liquor sold in the world today, the Kennedys get 5 cents.
I was wondering where their money was coming from.
Now, they ain't stupid. They put all their money into a trust. That's why they got all that money. They don't own nothing. The idea today is when you get your money, you don't own nothing, you just control it. See, that's the new secret. But anyway, deal came down. Nixon came in, and he was the vice president with Eisenhower, and he was touted to be the new fair-haired boy to be president. In comes this Catholic.
Yeah.
Nobody ain't heard about no Catholic. We said, where this boy come from? How he's gonna be this? Well, they done trained him. They sent him away to school, just like they sent Clinton away. Whenever they send you to England to a Rhodes Scholarship, that's to teach you where you're going to be ruling. They're setting you up for political leadership. And the Rhodes Scholarship, you know, is when they started killing off all the Africans, taking their diamonds. Rhodes took all the diamonds and the golds and set up a fund. And the Oppenheimers took up a fund, set that structured fund, so that that fund, with all them billions and trillions of dollars, was to be used to train people like the Clintons, people like the Kennedys, and so forth. So up comes Kennedy, and there's Nixon, who looks like a toad. He don't have the same kind of, you know, I am the fair-haired boy from Camelot look. The guy who took up a fund, set that structured fund, so that that fund, with all them billions and trillions of dollars, was to be used to train people like the Clintons, people like the Kennedys, and so forth. So up comes Kennedy, and there's Nixon, who looks like a toad. He don't have the same kind of, you know, I am the fair-haired boy from Camelot look. The guy was wipeout. They know elections. Don't go voting anyway. They know such thing as a vote. And you're stupid if you're going up to vote and think that your thing makes any sense. That's a census to see if anybody is still paying attention. Ain't got nothing to do with who you vote for. So immediately everybody thinks, boom, Kennedy wins, the mafia goes crazy. Yes, yes. Immediately the mafia, with the tide, begins rifling the gold treasury. Start ripping off everything. Now here are these two ideal fair-haired boys who ain't but so close to the actual truth and reality. They're looking at stuff and they're saying, wait a minute, what the hell's going on here? We're doing this, we're doing that. They're ripping the country off. They start getting bright ideas about what they're going to do to change things. So Onassis says, listen, you know, you're messing with my boy, Hoffa. He's there for a reason. Oh, he's doing things to the American people. Idealism. No clue. Getting ready to shut things down, change the world. Okay. First, let me just say that they kidnapped Howard Hughes. Onassis did. Just to give you the story.
Who's Hughes?
Howard Hughes.
Yeah, who was he in the picture?
Huh?
What did he do in that picture?
Oh, he's the one who set up the airplane industry. He owned Las Vegas. He's big time. Howard Hughes is the guy who supposedly went crazy. You know, he had a big beard and he was just laying around, a rich dude and
Billionaire.
right, multi-billionaire. But they kidnapped Howard Hughes and put a double in his place, his secretary, to play the part. Paid him a little stipend to play Howard Hughes. That's why he became a recluse. Howard Hughes never recluse. This guy loved the cameras. But all of a sudden he became a recluse. The real Howard Hughes was in a dungeon on the island of Scorpius. That's Onassis' island.
Yeah.
In Scorpius. He was in a dungeon and he was being given heroin every day. Onassis goes over a secured airwaves to announce to the rest of the mafia around the world that I got Howard Hughes. And I'm taking over all of his plans. He wanted to buy the United States government. I'm taking over. Anybody who don't want it, boom, we're going to town. And there was a war going on. Those who said, okay, well, F it, man, he's a billionaire too, boom, I'll work with him. They went over there with Onassis. Kennedy now is saying, well, I got this idealism. He thinks that he's still got the whole energy behind him and the whole... He starts causing problems. Everything begins to fall apart. He's arrested all of Onassis' people. Onassis goes apeshit. He warns Jackie to put her man in place. Jackie comes and says, well, you think you should be moving because she's Bouvier. She got her own money. No. It's the American people, the whole 9 yards. Boom, we got to hit this dude. The first hit was supposed to be at a Bears game.
Bears?
The Bears game.
Football?
Football. Supposed to have hit him there. Didn't work because he got wind of it. He's saying, oh man, they got a contract out of me. He goes underground. You don't see him making any kind of, what do you call it? He goes looking for his wife. Where's Jackie? Where's Jackie's? Oh my God, where's Jackie? Jackie is on Onassis' yacht. He calls up over to Jackie. Get off the yacht, come back home. And what's wrong? get your ass back home. She runs back home. He stays underground. She is talked into dealing with bringing him out. So they come to him, olive branch. Don't worry about it. It's cool. We see your plan. It looks like a good plan. Come on out. We know everything is all right. Okay, he was supposed to be in New York and another place, but they chose Texas. They got him in Texas, and they got him in the crossfire because the place they took him, under rules, when you have a dignitary, you go around certain places that you could get people into a crossfire fast, or else you know it's an ambush point. You're supposed to zoom past those points. At the point where they took him, the first shot, they had his head go forward, they slowed it down. Because when he's coming around the curve, you notice he slowed down. The first shot rang out. Boom! Instead of the driver taking off and speeding, he slows down even more. And in a film that I have, that your boy got, they show you the driver take the gun from under the seat and blow his head off.
Yeah.
It was the driver.
My boy.
Then you saw him put it back and then take off. That's why Jackie jumped out the car. Because she saw who shot him.
Yeah, I see. I remember that.
Yeah, well, you know, she jumped out and the guy behind, who was part of the hit triangle, pushed her back in.
Yeah, I seen the guy running up to the car in the back.
Right, and pushed her back in. Right, because she saw him do it. And he killed Kennedy with this gun that was made by the CIA. It's an exploding pellet thing. That's why half his head was gone. Now, supposedly, he was still alive. We don't know. Because they have pictures of Jackie on the island of Scorpius rolling somebody who's covered head to toe in a blanket in a wheelchair. Might have been him. But here's the other trick to how you knew who it was that hit him. Remember, the old code in the mafia is that if you hit me for business reasons, you take care of my family. Business arrangement. But the Kennedys got back at Onassis by killing his son. They fixed the altimeter in the plane and it crashed inside a mountain.
So that whole ricocheting magic bullet is...
Oh, man, as a matter of fact, I got the tape somewhere in storage. One day I'll get it out and I'll show it to you because the Japanese knew who killed Kennedy before we did. This tape was sent over to Japan and they had the high resolution digital digital technology at that time.
Switched it up.
And they got it up and you see him clear as day. And the guy that did it, the guy who wrote, I talked to the guy who wrote Behold a Pale Horse. And he sent me the tape.
He was the boy.
Yeah, he sent me the tape. And yeah, William Cooper. And you see it. The guy goes under the seat, turn around, and you see poof, the flash. And they showed it about 10 times. Showed it you in slow motion 10 times. And that was what was known as the Zabruta film. That's the one that they didn't want you to see.
That was in that movie.
Yeah, but they didn't show you that. They didn't show you that. I mean, Stone played all around the circles, you know, played all his games. He gave you a hint of conspiracy. But remember, when Onassis put the hit on Kennedy, he put a moratorium on the knowledge for 75 years. So you can't know who killed Kennedy for 75 years. That's why the seal is locked down. They'll give you all kind of stupid oh, he came, it was a bird dropped a turd on his head. You know, all kind of dumb. That's to give you the misdirection so that you would know what was going on. But it was actually Onassis who had the deal going. And this is in something called the Gemstone Files. And that's why they shot Larry Flint. Remember Larry Flint?
Yeah.
The guy who did Hustler? He put out the Gemstone Files. They tried to take him out. That's why he got so cool and laid back. Because his magazine was dropping. I mean, he had all that crazy smut, but it was inside the smut he was putting down the dirt on everybody. And he dropped the Gemstone Files in there. And he was about to put the rest of the information out. Boom! They warned him off, and he did it, and they shot him. Lucky he survived, because they were supposed to take him out. Come on now, y'all can't be buying out on me now.
So what's that Reagan? We still didn't get to like Reagan and
Well, Reagan is essentially part of the he was run by Bush. Matter of fact, you know, Reagan was actually setting Bush up to be the president. Because Reagan, at the time, he was just the front man for CIA who was actually running everything.
The Cold War and all that stuff.
He was actually, again, front man, just like John Wayne. They were working inside of a network to make sure that certain things were happening inside the government to bring in this, what is known as a conservative branch, which is essentially nothing but Nazis. That's all it was. So Reagan was just a front.
What's up with his Alzheimer's and all that?
Well, essentially, all three of them are clones. Jimmy Carter's a clone. What's his name was a clone too. Reagan and somebody else. And you can see them because at the funeral for Nixon, because they retired his branch, his what do you call it? His brand. And you could see them. They were like, and if you don't charge the clone, it'll start dying out and all that. His branch, his what do you call it? His brand. And you could see them. They were like, and if you don't charge the clone, it'll start dying out and all that. Yeah. And you looked at them. You saw Carter, and you saw I'm saying, look at these guys. See, they're melted. You can see that they were actually there, and you could see it if you look at old pictures of Jimmy Carter. He was parting his hair on one side. After he was killed, his whole family wiped out. His hair was being parted on the other.
What the heck?
Look around, brothers, sisters. Come on.
Dr. Brown.
Yes, sir.
With the we've seen these new quarters. Who is that guy on the back riding the horse?
I didn't look at that part there. I didn't see that one. I thought you were talking about the Susan B. Anthony. That's $1, right?
Yeah. They have new quarters out now, and the symbols have changed. And on the back, it's a guy riding a horse, and I can't remember his name. It's like Henry something. And I just wanted to know if you knew anything about it.
No, I'd like to see one. If you got one.
You know what it does have on it? You know what? It has the year 1787.
I think that's like the first thing. I have one in the car. I can go get it. I think
That's the treaty.
Yeah, that's the Morris Treaty that was supposedly come out. Supposedly, there's a lot of changes going on in there where they're beginning to give back land now.
Yeah.
A lot of the reparation is getting ready to jump off y'all quietly. They don't want to let you know they want to give you back the money, but they're going to slip it into certain people. That's all I'm going to say. Okay? That's all I'm going to say. Metaphysics. Y'all ready to jump to light speed? Because y'all around here walking on the ground still, man. Yes, sir.
I have a question that if you could share your insight on Millen.
So we are now getting ready to breach
Yeah.
and look into the glass darkly.
Yeah, no doubt.
All right. Melanin. Wow, dark matter, consciousness. I'm writing a book, as a matter of fact. I'm so intrigued by it that I'm writing a book called Melanalysis, Metaphysics of Dark Matter Consciousness. And in it, I'm going to be speaking about melanin as the door. The same door to the matrix that you're speaking about. Melanin is an organizational aspect. It organizes flesh around consciousness. It is dark matter that becomes sentient. It is chaos that becomes order. That's just to give you the outer realm of it. It is biphenomenal in its temperament, in that scientists can look at a melanin. If they can isolate it, they can't. They can look at melanin, try to take melanin, but as soon as they try to take it out of the initial state or where it is that it belongs, like a leaf or a human, it dies. They can't study it. Because melanin is a spiritual component. It's a spiritual expression. It is the threshold of how the glow of the spirit becomes. In other words, you can look at the core and the space that is created from that core, the outer rim of that core, the part that gels to become the man, is what that core melanin is used. That's how dark matter is used to become flesh. Dark matter consciousness is given form around the organizational principles of melanin. So melanin is consciousness. Now, each one of us has melanin, but some of us have it to a specific degree where others have it to a greater degree. It does not make them greater. It gives them the capacity to be more efficient at the use of light for consciousness. But it doesn't mean that it isolates them, because I know some pretty dumbass dark brothers and some pretty smart-ass light brothers. But I know some real assholes that are light and some real brothers who are... So you don't know where it is. You can't play the games of colors anymore, because the game is to keep you separated from one another. Melanin functions on all levels. It functions internally and externally. On the one case, the people who are of the darker hue, they hold on to the primal programming. This is why it's necessary to destroy the darker races of the peoples, because they have what is known as the trigger mechanism to the next dimension. They don't know they have it, because essentially living in this paradigm has created such a disturbance to the electromagnetic kinetic field that melanin needs to operate in genius, that brothers who have the dark hue have it just like an old overcoat. It's got holes here, you can't even keep warm, because if you try to close it, the arms open up. You know, it's that type of thing. So to actually bring all of the circuitry together, you have to remake the thought process first, because they know that they have to destabilize the thought process, they have to destabilize the connecting particles that melanin becomes in the brain before it becomes a man. To do that, they have to destroy your food system. And the food system has to be compartmentalized. It has to be mutated so that you become mutated, so that you pick up mutated frequencies. That's why the whole science of medicine today is going to be the science of genetics. Is to destroy your genetics, because it is through the genetics that you raise the threshold. You break free of the matrix paradigm that they're playing you under. So light people can become dark with enough sun, but you need the internal consciousness to awaken it so that it stays. You need to be eating a certain way. You need to be doing certain things. That's what I do. You can think yourself back into the melanin framework. Brothers who have the melanin and don't know where their asshole is from their armpit, those brothers have to stop doing what they're doing now, and through the soul assessment and connection to the core that they now carry as the light carriers, or as the potential light carriers, they have to stop eating all this crap that they've been eating. They have to stop thinking and doing to maintain the paradigm. It's because that strength, the African strength, the indigenous strengths, the Native American strengths, those are the ones that keep this madness up. Should we switch our focus of our attention, it's gone. They necessarily know that melanin can be programmed, easily programmed, not only through the water system, through the air system, and through the food system, but through the thought-bearing system. That is, through the media, through your education. You can play somebody with just light alone. And since melanin, listen to me, since melanin is sensitive to light, the television light has been tuned to the frequency of the melanin so that it starts to break up the crystals that make sure that melanin works as a whole circuitry, as a whole unit. So you're being bombarded every day by the street lamps, by the cell phone that you have. All these things break down the integrity of melanin, cause parts of it to just shift a little bit. All you need is one fray in the wire and you short-circuit everything. Your nerve endings are destroyed, because why are they now focusing so much attention into the black community with these vaccinations?
Killing them all.
Because they are destabilizing your melanin through your neural system. What does the vaccinations do? They destroy what is known as the myelin sheath. The myelin sheath is that very gelatinous substance through which your nerves run, and that's what conducts the electromagnetic frequency to you and your brain so that you can have consciousness. When they give you that vaccination, they destroy the myelin sheath around your nerves so that you can't conduct the information anymore. Or if you do conduct the information, it's short-circuited. So yes, we all have a task. We all know what we have the capabilities and the potentials for doing. Melanin itself is the organizing molecule. Now, that should tell you immediately who is the ones who organized civilization. It had to be. Because if melanin was the organizing molecule, then dark matter would have had to express itself as a dark man. Because from the darkness came the light, and only through the darkness does the light become. Why do you think dark absorbs so much light? Because the darkness needed to reabsorb the light after it was conditioned by physical consciousness. That's the way the darkness learns of itself, when it goes into light. But right now you're trapped in only seven. You have the ability to see 7 wavelengths of light only. That makes you blind as a cosmic bat. You are a blind cosmic bat. You can only see through 7. So yes, we all have a task. We all know what we have the capabilities and the potentials for doing. Melanin itself is the organizing molecule. Now, that should tell you immediately who is the ones who organized civilization. It had to be. Because if melanin was the organizing molecule, then dark matter would have had to express itself as a dark man. Because from the darkness came the light, and only through the darkness does the light become. Why do you think dark absorbs so much light? Because the darkness needed to reabsorb the light after it was conditioned by physical consciousness. That's the way the darkness learns of itself, when it goes into light. But right now you're trapped in only 7. You have the ability to see 7 wavelengths of light only. That makes you blind as a cosmic bat. You are a blind cosmic bat. You can only see through seven layers of color. White light is only 7 bands. But these 7 bands have been manipulated in such a way as to keep you behind prison bars. These are light fixtures that have fixed your consciousness. Because there are wavelengths of what? 293 or 354 different bands that we are not being given privy to in our spectrum. We have 9 chakras, not 7. So we are in light code lockdown because we can't pick up the information that comes from the stars in the form of vectors of light that opens up certain points of the brain where the melanin is now activated into its potential so that it begins to send signals to the rest of the cells to change the frequency, to change the valence, to change the vibratory components that will make the cells see themselves as something else than what you are. But right now your cells can't see themselves because the programming is up here. Your thoughts have been colonized by education. So you can't see yourself above what you've been taught. So you function under an illusion of who you really are. All of this is illusion. This is an agreement. Everything you look at as your reality is an agreement that this is a reality. What's this here? What's this?
Chair.
A chair. Yeah, right. See? You function very well. What's this? A table. Yeah, see? We all agree. But this is not a table, brothers and sisters. It's what you agree to call it. And just like you have agreed to call this a table, you've agreed to call your reality your reality. Until you break the agreement, you in light code lockdown. And you ain't gonna know nothing beyond what they tell you is real. And that's why you need to go see the Matrix. Because that's something we've been talking about for 25 years. Matter of fact, in my old videos, back in 91, I was talking about something called the Lucifer Matrix. That's another set of books you need to go get, brothers. Book's
Have
called The
a book.
Matrix.
Yeah, they have the book.
You got them?
What is
No,
it
I said
called?
they have
You
it
got 'em?
before
No?
the movie
Write
came
it
out.
down.
Yeah, they have them. But it's called The Matrix. And there are 4 books. And when you put them all together, they stack about that high.
Aren't
There's
they
4 books.
Masonic or something like that?
No, they're not Masonic.
No.
He breaks the Masonics open.
Who's the author?
The author is Val, V-A-L, Valerian, V-A-L-E-R-I-A-N. And he is at a place called, he has a website called Leading Edge. Now, brothers, I'm dropping you into one of the most significant, what do you call it, if you're into all that internet crap? And that's another science y'all need to be dealing with. Go and tap into the place called leadingedge.com. They have the best research material on the way the beast is operating out here. Now, about that internet, that's exactly what it is. See, the Caucasoid can't take his reality beyond the framework he has created. Follow me, brothers and sisters. The reality that we function in is based upon the Caucasoid's own projected illusion about what reality should be. Now, we've agreed to play his game. Check?
Heard? Check.
Check?
Check.
Okay. Now, you agree to play his game. You wear his shoes. You wear his pants. Play his games. So you are in his reality. Now, he does not have the melanin component to take himself out of the threshold he's created. He was to function in this threshold as life lessons for those who remain back here so that they will learn what it is to be not so that we can make the next move. Check? Okay, now, here you are functioning in his reality, brothers and sisters, and you have not yet removed the veil off of your eyes. Now, where you are at this point, who you are at this point, when you are at this point is what's most important. Because if you do not strip yourself bare and naked of all that you have clothed yourself with, you stay in. You're going down with the Titanic. Because that's exactly what's getting ready to happen. Now, where was I?
Internet.
Ah, see, I was wondering if you was paying attention.
Nah.
Okay, you good. All right. Understand that he does not know how to organically shift his reality. You are all the children of peoples who shifted their paradigms without having to invent nothing to do it. You did rituals, you did songs, you created instruments whenever the spirits told you you had to get to another octave. You played the octave and you escaped. You did what you had to do. You do it now through a lower version of that ritual. You call it possession. And you do certain old-fashioned rituals that they do, like they do with the Santeria, and you catch the spirit and you do certain things and you get it. This is something you did when you walked in and out of dimensions. See, when the white man came, he saw you living in a hut. He thought that you were some drag-along, what do you call it? He didn't know how far advanced you were, spiritually. But see, he became so dependent upon all the gadgets that helped him to kind of prop up this collapsing paradigm that he knew nothing else. When the Dark Ages came and he drove out the Moor, he drove out his only consciousness that he had and was able to keep him balanced. So he went hog-ass wild and went crazy with himself. So now he began to invent himself into obsolescence. He atrophied his spiritual organs in deference to have things help him to do what he organically could do. That is why, since he cannot create an organic reality, what does he create instead? A virtual reality. So now you got this virtual reality and everybody's where? Tuned into the net. What the hell do you catch in a net?
Fish.
You damn right.
Flies or whatever.
They done caught you. Spiders catch you because they call it a web. They catch all of you all in the net, in the web, and you are being subtly programmed into believing that this new virtual reality is the next stage for your consciousness. But what the hell do you do on the internet?
Sir.
play, surf. You go in there and find all kind of jackasses. You go into rooms to conversate with people who are faceless, nameless. You used to do that. All you had to do was sit still and talk to people on other planets. But now you need a keyboard because your brain is so numb, your eyes are so blind, your ability to hear is no longer useful to your body, that the only thing you can actually do to hyper-activate any of your senses is to do it artificially. Where did you hear that story from? About somebody creating an artificial something. Or artificial human. There you go.
Okay.
Now, do you know that Mary Shelley, the one who wrote Frankenstein, do you know that her mother is the one who started feminism?
Also, of the same family, they were big in computer programming.
Hello?
They were the first ones